of being so confused. You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop arguing me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dog.
Hey, Hogs Twins here. Check out our friend Matthew Spirit at his podcast at The Dumb Show and his website, don'tunfriendme.com. Yeah.
Good morning, Don't Unfriend Me Nation. What are we?
Man, people are melting down.
About what?
Just melting and melting and melting. Hold on. My Mac is giving me some serious warnings. And I've got to take it seriously. Liv, say hi to everybody and stuff, okay? I need you to do filler.
Can you even hear me? Because I can't hear me in my mic.
How about now?
Can you? Now I can hear me.
Okay, so say hi and stuff because I've got an alert that Gmail was just hacked.
Oh, that's not good.
So I need you to fill in for a minute.
All right. Hi, dummies. So I actually was going to say anything at the beginning of the show anyway. So,
Oh, what were you going to say at the beginning of the show?
well, Friday night, Matthew and I had a bit of an argument before the live show started, and we brought that into the live show. So wanted to apologize for
Yeah, you should.
all the viewers. But on the other hand, what I wanted to say
Oh, boy.
was
Here we go.
if Dino is listening,
Uh-oh.
I am calling you out
Oh,
because she just, I may look sweet and innocent, but I'm not. And I don't need defending. If Matthew and I happen to go back and forth on the show, majority of the time it's flirtatious and it's out of love. We've also been together for 24 years, married for 21. So if we don't argue every once in a while, something's really wrong with us. So I don't need defending from anyone if that ever happens. I really don't. So Dino took that just a tad too far and decided to call Matthew vain and a narcissist.
she's a drug addict. I don't care. I don't care.
Anyway, then she took it to her own page and decided to get sympathy on her end. And I don't approve.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if she's watching, fuck you.
All right. Well, there we go.
Pretty much how I feel about you. And if you don't like it, I could give a shit in a rat's ass and you
Wow.
can leave and take your two friends that you brought along with you.
Wow.
Because I really don't care if you watch anymore.
Two friends.
Exactly. Here's the thing.
Not even one. Just-
Don't go after my husband, my children, or my family because then you'll see the claws come out and it's not pretty. So don't. Mama bear is not a pretty thing to have. So just don't ever do it. So anyway, that's what I was going to say.
Well, I guess that pretty much sums it up.
So good evening.
Hold on.
Is everything working yet?
Yeah, it's a notification. It's the one thing that you can do on Mac is it can't get a virus and it can't get adware, but they can hold your notifications hostage and they'll be like, you know, your computer's been hacked and you click it and it opens up a web page and they want you to buy antivirus software. I already killed it. That's the great thing about Mac. Well, I guess Dino got a mouthful. I guess she went after that bone like Dino always tried to do. And she got whacked upside the head with a big fat bone.
Yeah,
So,
honestly, every time I hear her name, I think of the Flintstones. I
Yeah.
just really do. That's all I think about.
Yeah.
It's the first every time.
she's been watching. Listen, here's let's just put a Band-Aid on. First of all, I don't care. See, I've said this for 3 years. Dino should know this better than anybody. Is that everybody I associate with on the show? There's only a handful that I would really call friends, and Dino's not one of them. Dino's somebody who watches the show, and although I appreciate you, you're certainly not my friend. So your opinion, it doesn't mean much to me. But when you say the word vain, that means a person who appreciates their appearance. It's a person who likes to look at themselves, adore themselves. And honestly, my insecurities are way too high for that to happen and take place because I'm a critic of myself more than anybody. So that doesn't work. And when you call me a narcissist, well, that's a mental health condition. The one thing I've learned over the years is smart people seem crazy to those who aren't. And I'm sorry that bothers you. But to assume that I am somehow omnipotent or I don't have my own predilection to be an asshole, I am, and I can be. I'm a man. I'm a testosterone-driven alpha guy, and sometimes my mate in life, my soulmate, the love of my life, becomes the unfortunate receiving end to my frustration, and I am to hers.
Yes.
But the most important thing about that is the condition you may not have heard of called nunya. and the condition of nunya is it's nunya fucking business.
Pretty much.
It's nunya fucking business. And if it bleeds into the show, who cares? We're a married couple. We didn't meet on this show. We're not Howard Stern and Robin Quivers. Okay? We weren't set up by some freaking, contracting agency and fell in love. We have children together. We have loved each other. We have hated each other. We've done things horrible to each other. But that's nunya.
Yeah. We were together for 21 years before we even started this.
That's right. None of your fucking business. So if you think I'm a narcissist, that's fine. You're a drug addict. So at least I internalize my issues. You have to get a synthetic high. So, and maybe you're no longer a drug addict, but that's fine. I've been where you're at. Maybe I'm just a longer on the journey. And I have to, there's another form of drug that I need to have, and that's maybe this is it. But addictive personalities are usually some of the most self-deprecating people in the world, and I'm one of them. But for me to sit here and say that, I appreciate your comments, I don't. In fact, I didn't even know this was going to happen, and I didn't even
tell him.
I wasn't. It just shows you how much of a narcissist I am. I had no idea you wrote anything about me until Olivia showed me the other day. And I'm so much of a narcissist that I didn't even give a shit. I didn't even reply. You're not worth my time. You watched my show for 3 years, and then ultimately you got sick of me, and that's okay because I'm sick of you, and that's totally cool. This is not an internal thing. We don't have to spend the rest of our lives together. If you don't like the way my shows become, or you feel that I'm arrogant, well, the only problem with that is that I've always been arrogant. I've always been this way. I've never pretended to be anything different. So if it took you 3 years to figure out that I'm arrogant, well, sister, I don't know what to tell you. There are people on this show who I care about, who I interact with, and they know who they are. They know who they are. They know how I feel about them. But some rando viewer wants to, insult Olivia, which is the dumbest thing. Take after me all you want. I get it. Don't go after her. She doesn't do anything wrong. She gets enough crap. So this is it. She's the victim, and you feel bad for her. So therefore, you decide to insult her to help her. That makes a lot of sense. Hey, Olivia, you can't handle Matt. You're not a woman enough. I hope that feels like a compliment to you.
Really? I've only been with you for 24 years. If I couldn't handle you, I highly doubt we would have gotten married.
Listen. I don't think there's anything wrong with arrogance. Like, people are going after Deion Sanders right now, and I'm like, dude, the guy, you can say whatever you want about Deion Sanders, and he used to be a self-centered, egomaniacal human being, but he found God, and he still has that attitude of always being a winner, but there's that cockiness, but his heart is in the right place. So I love that. And, we're going to talk about Russell Brand tonight, and Russell's in some deep shit. I had a chance to read the reports from the alleged rape victims, and there's some serious shit there that he's going to have to get through. This woman went to a clinic. She got tests done. She filed police reports. This is serious.
I had no idea.
But this guy, he was living a life of sin. He was sticking his pecker wherever he could. And over the last, 7-8 years, he's come clean. He's pulled the Albus Snow bit, and he had a second coming. But he still has to pay the piper. I've had my share of addictions. I had my share of issues, and I had to find something. So, listen. I look at it this way. The reason why psychology bothers me so much is because it's an applied science and it's a social science. It's not an applied science. It's a social science. And therefore, it's based on theory. And it's not provable because in the consortium of theorem and all the variables in psychology, the human mind cannot be mapped. And free-formed thought cannot be traced. So to assume that every single person is the same and can suffer from the same condition in the same way is ludicrous. And this is, I would love a psychologist to come on, and I would love to destroy you on this conversation, because all I got to do is ask you the question. Are you telling me that Olivia and I can suffer from the exact same condition and the results will be the same? No. Well, then it's not science. It's not science. The entire process of proving something to be scientific fact, unequivocal fact, is that the variations are narrowed down to an nth. And then that resulting variation is just a microcosm of the overall result. And if you can't do that, then that's not science, it's guessing. Now, you can have some basic understanding what depression is in people, but you don't get to go ahead and say, well, since you have depression, you need to go on an SSRI, or because you have depression, you need to be locked up, or because you have depression, you need to go on suicide watch, because it's different for everybody. It's not the same. The variables are too inconsistent. So if you call someone a narcissist simply because you had a mother, who I did, who was a narcissist, I'm going to sit here and say, well, wait a second. And I'm going to look at your opinion. Maybe it's somebody who's just a little bit arrogant, or they think they know everything. A narcissist to me is somebody who tries to purposely destroy other people's lives, to ruin every bit of happiness that they have because it causes them levity, but it's a never-ending struggle to destroy in order to have happiness. That's a narcissist in my eyes, because that's my mom. So when you call me a narcissist, you know what my first thought is? Go fuck yourself. So I think what people need to understand, especially with this show, is that there's going to become a time where I offend you. And it's on a long enough timeline, it's just going to happen. I'm going to say something you don't agree with, or maybe your mother's situation is not in the realm of my understanding, and I offend you. Well, that's your fault. You can't take it that way. So when Dino said it, I told her to GFY, and then I just moved on, because I'm like, she doesn't know my history. She doesn't understand that. So I just said, forget it. I didn't ban her. I didn't get pissed. I just left it alone. You have the power to decide whether you want to get upset at somebody or not. It's up to you. It's your decision. And if you allow them to have that power, well, then you deserve the result you got. And that's the variable that scientifically can be applied. That the one consistent thing about psychology and psychosis and stasis in people's thought process is the inconsistency. That's the one consistent. So if you can understand that everybody processes things different than others, then you're going to be a step ahead in the game. And that's what I try to do. I had hundreds, thousands of people today from Republicans and Democrats come after me over my Lauren Boebert show. Boebert show. I'm going to call her Boebert. And the Republicans are pissed because I'm not sitting here and goo goo gaga and going, mama, on her breasts. Mama. That I'm not doing that. That I'm actually looking at her record, and she has 47 pieces of legislation sponsored or co-sponsored. Not one of them have gone through or left committee.
And the reason why is because everything she has is completely polarized and she refuses to bend. And she just does what the Freedom Caucus wants, and which means she's a shill. And I don't appreciate her. So her breastfeeders don't impress me, although they're glorious. They're beautiful. I'd love to speed around on those fun bags. But guess what? I'm married. I can't do that stuff anymore unless Olivia agrees.
I'm going to throw her in the middle.
I'd throw her in the middle too. So now that we've established that,
As long as we can throw Ryan Reynolds in the middle too.
Whatever, I'd hit him. So now that we've established that I have no problem with Lauren Boebert. I think she's pretty. I think good for her. She's very much like AOC. She didn't deserve what she got, but she got it because she has a certain look and people were magnetized to it. Good for her. But I don't have to like the way she is and how she handles her politics, and I don't. But I fervently defend her that she should be able to be felt up in a movie theater if she wants to. Folks, if you're not watching the show and you're watching Lauren Boebert, then maybe you need to go to a titty bar, right? Maybe you need to get out more. Maybe you need to be watching your wife. Nobody's watching her. Nobody was staring. Everyone was watching the play. So she got a little handy. Who cares? Who cares?
Something tells me that video wouldn't have been released if she wasn't causing such a stir by smoking her vape in there.
She was a Republican because I just showed you guys Savannah Gibson just did this in Virginia. She was on Chatterbait with her husband taking tips to do sexual things to him. And people would leave her tokens and tips. She's running for freaking the House of Representatives. She's a Democrat. Nobody's saying anything. No Democrats are coming out. They're going, oh, you're porn shaming her. Wait a second. Like being in porn isn't shameful enough. A Republican operative got a hold of it. But if you're going out and doing porn, of course you're going to get outed. Just move on. Who cares? So I'm getting it left and right today. And it comes down to this is honestly, if you can't have a conversation about a candidate that you don't know, that you've never met, that you've never been a part of in any way, shape, or form, and you get offended because somebody says, I don't like her policies, or I think she has fake boobs, then it goes back to the original conversation we were having. You're ultra sensitive. You're all up in your feelings. You're allowing feelings to control you, and you need to stop. So there it is. There's our Lauren Boebert conversation. And some people are like, well, we need to move on. No, we don't. It's been 24 hours. What do you want? We just started talking about this. So here's the thing. Wait, what is Richard Davis saying?
He's being an asshole.
Why is he being? Geez, you're grumpy tonight.
Oh, get over yourself, Matt. No one cares. Just move forward. Move forward, Matt. No one cares.
Dude, shut up. Who is this guy?
I think we've banned him before or something, or we blocked him, or I don't know. His name sounds really familiar, and usually when his name is brought up, it's not in a good light.
Richard, first of all, here's the thing, Dick. Do you mind if I call you Dick? My dad was a Richard, so I'm going to vicariously make it about you then, since you don't care. I guess you didn't hear the message where I was very, very clear, and I said, I don't give a shit what you think. I'm going to talk about whatever I want to talk about on the show. And if you don't like that, you can pop smoke and go somewhere else.
And start your own podcast.
Start your own show. You can call it the Dick Show. Okay? Go be the dick. Go do your thing. I won't ban him. I'm just gonna be honest with him. You've been on the show before and you've had no problem with the conversation that I've had. You've had no problem with the topics. This is important enough to me because in this show, we have a lot of people who have been here for years and watch this. If I'm talking about it, it's because there's something we can learn from it together. But if you're just like, completely, disenfranchised with the topic, then dude, pop smoke. Nobody's keeping you here, man. Nobody, maybe tomorrow's a better day. Maybe tonight's show isn't for you. Or maybe you just might realize that you might have not liked the Fly episode in Breaking Bad, and you may have just, popped smoke and Charlie mic'd and never watched it again. And I'm telling you, you just lost 3.5 seasons of great show that you completely didn't watch because you were being a prick. So, if you think that everything that I'm going to come out of my mouth is going to entertain you, Dude, I'm not a fucking clown. Not going to happen. All right, now that we've got out of this, did Dick leave?
I have no idea.
All right. Well, now that we've done all that, well, let's hope that maybe we can start, checking in with him and doing the syllabus and seeing if he peruves. Richard's out for Harambe. That's right. Dick's out for Harambe, the gorilla. I had that shirt. I need to make that shirt.
Yes, you did. So I want to shout out to Cheryl Lynn. She just posted, so I need prayers. My sister is staying with me for 2 weeks till her apartment is ready. Her name is Karen. Need I say more?
Oh, jeez. Well,
that's freaking funny.
That's awesome.
I'm sorry.
Richard, once again, I know you want to suggest we move forward, but you know what? Here's the thing, is that this entire conversation is not mine. It's Olivia's.
I started it.
I didn't start this. I didn't even want to talk about this tonight. So if you want to bust anyone's balls, bust his. There's a secret we have to tell you about Olivia. All right. Hey, you're not, listen, if I haven't ripped into you, you're not a dummy. It's like, that's the running joke, because everyone's like, well, if Matt hasn't taken off on you yet, then you're not really a dummy yet. That's just the way it works. I appreciate you saying move on. Maybe we did need to move on, but either way, we're moving on now. So I want to talk about something else. And I have a video from Russell Brand. Does everyone know it's Talk Like a Pirate Day? Matt, Olivia, please say arr.
Arr. I'm not a pirate. I'm Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah,
I can't act like that.
I'm not sure. I didn't know it was National Pirate Day. One of the greatest lines ever from Bill Maher. He's like, thank God when I was a kid, this whole transitioning, choose your own gender adventure wasn't around. He's like, because there was a time when I was younger that I thought I was a pirate. And the last thing I needed was my parents removing my fucking eye, putting the patch on me and amputating my leg and walking around slurring my R's. And I was like, it's pretty good. Bill Maher.
That's funny.
Yeah, Bill Maher's. I love Bill Maher. Anyone who doesn't like Bill Maher, you just didn't like what he said about Trump. And once again, Bill Maher has no right to like Trump. He's under no obligation. We get to like whoever we want, folks. That's the way it works. And if you don't like somebody, can you imagine? Can you imagine? You're just sitting down, right? You're at a ball game, and you're watching a great game. You're watching the Astros play the New York Yankees, whatever, Game 6, World Series, or not World Series, they wouldn't be, but ALCS. And you have a hot dog, and then that person's eating a hamburger, and they look over and they go, "Hey, dude." It's like, "Yeah, dude. Do you like hot dogs?" And the guy's like, No, I don't. I don't like hot dogs. And then the one guy's like, "Dude." And the guy's like, "Dude." And then the other person's like, "Dude." The guy's, "Dude. Dude." Well, now that you made that point, it's movie basketball. But anyway, so and then he gets up. He's like, "You know what, bro? I can't be friends with you anymore." Why? Because you don't like hot dogs, and I love hot dogs. Right, but I just like hamburgers. Doesn't matter. Because I like hot dogs, you have to like hot dogs. And if you don't like hot dogs, then you're not an American. You're not a patriot. Weren't they created in Germany or Belgium or some shit? It doesn't matter. Hamburgs were in Hamburg. How do you like hamburg? Do you understand? Do you see? This is what we do. And because I challenge Boebert's boobies and say that the whole reason Republicans love her is because of her tits, and that's really wise, because she's really good to look at. And I'm not disagreeing. But there's no Republican who loves her policies because she hasn't done anything. She has sat up there and looked hot. And basically sits behind Matt Gaetz and mops up after him and cooks him pot pies. Sorry, honey. So if you're going to sit here and say that Boebert, I love her because of her politics. No, you don't. They're like, she's a Second Amendment supporter. Yeah, but what has she done? She signed 7 bills around the Second Amendment, and all of them are in committee. They're never going to see the light of day because they're completely ridiculous. Come on, folks. Wait, where's Matt's hat? I'm wearing my glasses. I'm wearing my glasses. I don't wear a hat.
Hey, one of the mods accidentally banned one of our loyal, faithful listeners. Can you unban them?
How?
I don't know. I
You
put him in
guys, you got to
timeout.
stop doing this. Who did it?
Mike. He banned Rhonda Edwards, who's
What-
very faithful,
what
loyal
the
listener.
shit, Mike?
What did you do? I put him in timeout.
You put Mike in
Oh,
timeout?
no, I just said he's in timeout. I didn't do anything. I'm not going to do anything.
My God, Blankman, it's Rhonda. I mean, how the hell do you want to just ban Amy?
Amy's the one who asked me to unban
My
her.
God. Do you
I
know
don't
how
to
hard it
do
is for me to go fix this right now on live? Oh, my Lord.
I don't know how to do it. I'm sorry.
This is insane. How do you come on? Blankman's not having a good week. He's on my list now. He was just coming off of it.
Uh-oh.
All right, let me see if I can find.
He can be in the doghouse this week.
I don't know how to do this. Live video? No? Yeah, there we go. All right, hold on. I'm getting it.
Oh, she said you don't have to fix it now. I'm here.
Okay, so who's here?
Rhonda, she's here now. So I don't know if she's got to do two accounts or whatnot. I don't know.
All right. Hey, Blankman, why don't you like stop shooting the proverbial load? I know it's hard with middle-aged men. All right, let's get into this. And by the way, if you're from the website and you're from Facebook, what are you doing, Kat?
What is she doing?
She's trying to get on the TV. She's trying to jump. She's being a nutso.
It's because I've been gone all day.
All right, so here's the deal. If you're from the site and you want to talk about Lauren Boebert and you want to, I'm more than welcome to talk about. I'm more than willing to talk about that. Jason Wixom, you're not going to get banned, even though you completely can't have a hockey conversation to save your life.
Hi to Diane McCarthy Feely. She's brand new here, so welcome.
Diane, sorry for the language tonight. It's a little hot in the in the room. Jason, let's not start talking hockey. I don't want to do it. I'm already annoyed enough. Mike says I can't comment on that. Well, that's probably because you got blocked. So, all right, listen, Russell Brand. I want to make this perfectly clear. Russell Brand is a smart guy. He tries too hard. Okay, I'm a pretty smart guy myself. I've got a pretty decent vocabulary, and I usually can put some things together fairly well. I'm certainly not Russell Brand smart. The man's very intelligent. He's a brain. There's no doubt about it. He's a wordsmith. He's a Dennis Miller.
And he was freaking hilarious in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
And he could even say it. I think.
I can't.
I think forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Long day, and I think I'm getting sick.
Yeah. So I listen. Anybody who has went a few rounds with Katy Perry earns my ultimate respect. Can you imagine what that relationship was like? You know, you're just like, she would talk in her songs. She just reminds me of that person. And you'd be like, hey, honey, hey, darling, what do you want to go and eat for dinner? And she's like, baby, you're a firework. Katie, no, Katie. I'm wondering what you want for dinner. I want your peacock. Katy Perry only has a certain amount of brain power, and most of it is probably remembering her songs. I think she speaks in idioms surrounding her music. But Russell Brand couldn't have been a peach either, because he definitely is like Albus Snow from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. There's no doubt in my mind where he'd be like, oh, baby, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to put it in the wrong hole. Jeez. Are you going to be okay? You're going to be able to rub some dirt on it and get back in there? I'm going to have to find and go and nail the hostess downstairs who I gave my number and my card to. He was a pig. Guy messed around. He did a lot of bad stuff. With that, whether he has went through contrition, whether he has absolved himself of those sins, that doesn't matter. I'm not saying he's guilty. I believe he is innocent until proven guilty. Absolutely 100%. And I stand by him through this, because everyone should know Kevin Spacey, who is probably one of the most prolific actors of our generation, was absolutely canceled and was accused of something he did not do. Having sex with an underage boy, all that crap was a lie. And he was exonerated for it. It doesn't matter. His career is over.
Yep.
Luckily, he's worth $300 million, but he's done. Okay? He's done. So let's talk about the accusations. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, it's just coming out because he's over the target. Okay. Folks, I want to explain something to you. I get over the target all the time. And I want you to imagine that 4 women come out and say that I raped them. Okay? 4 women come out and go, Matt Spear raped me. You know what my wife's going to do? She's going to jump, what time, what date, where was it at? Tell me right. And she's going to go through and she'll have where I was, what I was doing, locked on tight, and she will have me exonerated in a matter of minutes. And then there's the defense of myself, because I can always obviously pick a story apart. If it's not true and it's a lie, you're going to be able to come out of it, at least by a court of law, from a prosecutorial standpoint, as innocent, but civilly, you may have to pay. But here's the thing. If somebody comes out to my wife and they have a file and folder with police reports, with medical examiners, with DNA collection, semen collection, sworn statements and affidavits naming the person and what happened, that's a little different. And that is an interesting thing. Now, this has been going on. This isn't just today. We're talking going back to 2013. We're talking comics who are coming out who worked with this guy and saying, yeah, man, there was this hidden secret, kind of like Epstein, to watch out for this guy. So here's what I'm going to say, is as much as we have to assume his innocence, and everyone should, and if you don't, you're a dick, you also need to ensure that you are listening to these women because they deserve to have their stories told. And you can't say they're making it up without proof. And although you don't condemn Russell Brand, and you certainly don't condemn these women, this is where you need to step back and wait. And wait for all the facts to come out before making a prognosis. So I'm going to show you his video, because if I'm going to talk about him, I'm going to let his voice be heard. And whether I'm doing a show with 20 million or I'm doing a show with 20,000 or 200,000, Russell Brand deserves to be heard. And here's his comments. And I want you to listen to him. Here it is.
Hello there, you.
And that's true. Tim says the Bongino rule, wait 24 to 48. That's why I always wait. People get pissed and they leave the show and they go, well, sometimes you talk about things that have already happened. Yeah, that's not necessarily true. I talk about it, but what I only do is talk about factual stuff that I know and I can prove. Like we're going to talk about the F-35 tonight. There's going to be a lot of pontificating, but that's just because of my normal arrogant attitude. And it's going to be somewhat predictive analysis more than factual, because we can't possibly know. But there's some things I know that didn't happen. Okay. So we'll talk about that. Let's listen to Russell Brand. Olivia, I want your thoughts. Thanks for hanging in there.
Awakening Wonders. Now, this isn't the usual type of video we make on this channel where we critique, attack, and undermine the news in all its corruption, because in this story, I am the news. I've received 2 extremely disturbing letters, or a letter and an email, one from a mainstream media TV company, one from a newspaper, listing a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks, as well as some pretty stupid stuff like my community festival should be stopped, that I shouldn't be able to attack mainstream media narratives on this channel. But amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies. And as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now as well. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play? particularly when we've seen coordinated media attacks before, like with Joe Rogan when he dared to take a medicine that the mainstream media didn't approve of. And we saw a spate of headlines from media outlets across the world using the same language. I'm aware that you guys have been saying in the comments for a while, watch out, Russell, they're coming for you, you're getting too close to the truth. Russell Brand did not kill himself. I know that a year ago there was a spate of articles, Russell Brand's a conspiracy theorist, Russell Brand's right wing. I'm aware of news media making phone calls, sending letters to people I know for ages and ages. It's been clear to me, or at least it feels to me, like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And I mean my voice along with your voice. I don't mind them using my books and my stand-up to talk about my promiscuous consensual conduct in the past. What I seriously refute are these very, very serious criminal allegations. Also, it's worth mentioning that there are witnesses whose evidence directly contradicts the narratives that these two mainstream media outlets are trying to construct, apparently in what seems to me to be a coordinated attack. Now, I don't want to get into this any further because of the serious nature of the allegations, but I feel like I'm being attacked, and plainly they are working very closely together. We are obviously going to look into this matter because it's very, very serious. In the meantime, I want you to stay close, stay awake, but more important than any of that, if you can, please stay free.
Okay, so there's a lot there. Liv, I'm gonna let you go first because this is a tough one for me, because he's convincing. He's very good at it. What are your thoughts?
Well, what exactly are the charges? Because I haven't heard anything of it.
4 women. Now. There's one as young as 16. There's a 31-year-old who are accusing him of sexual assault, physically forcing them to have intercourse. One of them did not want to have a 3-way. Just a lot of stuff like that. Now, the one case that really strikes me is where, this person went and got a kit done. They reported it to the hospital and the police. They collected DNA evidence. They submitted clothing. I mean, this is not the first time you've heard this. But understand with the Me Too movement, a lot of people came out and simply as a moniker said, well, I slept with somebody, so therefore, because I slept with them, it must have been rape for me too. Because to think that Russell Brand did not have relationships that were somewhat benign just because he had relationships that were malignant. Anybody who knows that people who perform serial rape don't necessarily perform it on people that they know unless it's like a date rape situation or a spur of the moment. But when it's like somebody who is consistently a serial rapist, and in this case would qualify, they usually keep it as far away from home as possible. But, the thing that I don't like the 16-year-old girl, which is the accusation of her age, but nobody knows this. Nobody has any idea what the truth is. And I think it's very dangerous for people to convict Russell Brand, but also convict these girls. And I think these women, I think you have to stop. You have to wait. Let the fog of war clear and let's hear the evidence, because someone brought up Danny Masterson, who you and I both love, right?
Yes.
Tell everybody about Danny Masterson.
From the ranch. Absolutely loved him. He was also on that 70s show, which I've never watched, but it was like season 5 or something. He was just written off the show.
Just like disapproved.
Out of the blue. And it was like, where in the world did he go? Well, he was being accused of raping several women, sexually assaulting several women. And this was the whole time when it was happening to everyone. Like every male public figure out there was getting accused of rape or sexual assault. So I'm like, I was like, whatever, I just blew it off. Oh no, he got accused. he raped several women and he is in jail for a very, very long time. It was proven that he did it. So he is a scumbag.
We assume.
We assume, but I mean, it went through court and he was proven guilty, and so he's in jail now. So But it seems like this is happening way too much. My questions would be with the Russell Brand thing is, when did these happen? What time? I mean, how many years ago?
Yeah, let's go to it.
Was it during his alcoholic and drug days where maybe he doesn't remember everything? Maybe wasn't all there? Was also the one who's got the two questions would be the 16-year-old. How old is she now?
Well, let's answer these questions,
Okay.
because what I'm not going to be able to do is remember everything you're asking. So let's just go ahead. Okay. So the allegations as of now, he said multiple times that he's acted inappropriately at work during the height of his fame, including by undressing, making sexual remarks, and acting aggressively towards women. Openly admitted that. So right there, someone says I act sexually aggressive towards women. Well, folks, if those women said stop, it's a form of harassment. And right there's an issue, right? Brand denies the allegations revealed in a joint investigation by Sunday Times, the Times, and Channel 4's dispatches, and says his relationships have been always consensual. So this is what we've heard. 4 women are alleging sexual assault between 2006 and 2013. And I'm going to address a couple of things.
And that was the height of his drug addiction and
Yeah,
alcoholism.
yeah.
So that makes me wonder a little bit. But here's the thing. It's been 10 to 15 years since this happened. And the woman who's got the kit and
let me read that. Let me read that first. But because I want to make sure that I'm accurately representing what was said. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So one woman alleged that Brand raped her without a condom against a wall in his Los Angeles home. She says Brand tried to stop her leaving until she told him she was going to the bathroom. She was treated at a rape crisis center on the same day, which the Times says it has confirmed via medical records. I've seen a portion of the medical records, so I can say that they're authentic. A second woman in the UK alleges that Brand assaulted her when he was in his early 30s and she was 16 and still at school. She alleges he referred to her as the child during an emotionally abusive and controlling relationship. Grooming was involved. Looking back, she says he engaged in the behaviors of a groomer. A third woman claims that Brand sexually assaulted her while she worked with him in Los Angeles. She alleges she repeatedly told Brand to get off her, and when he eventually relented, he flipped and was super angry. Says he threatened to take legal action if she told anyone else about her allegation. The fourth woman has alleged being sexually assaulted by Brand in the UK and him being physically and emotionally abusive towards her. Brand's response, you guys heard it, read it to you, or you heard him read it to you. Other claims made as part of the investigation related to Brand's alleged controlling, abusive, and predatory behavior and inappropriate behavior in the workplace. During the years covered by the allegations, Brand had various high-profile jobs at different times, including BBC Radio, Channel 4, and was an actor in Hollywood films. His attitude towards women was an open secret, and radio and TV production sources told the Sunday Times. It is alleged that Brand would undress in the studio while working as a presenter in the BBC 6 Music. Dispatches also said Brand's sexual remarks on air about a newsreader, which he later implied he had been told by BBC production staff to apologize for. Alarming display of aggression and disrespect from Brand. Throwing objects across the radio studio, urinating in a bottle in front of staff and guests, including a minor. Alleged that Brand would get staff to approach young female audience members so he could meet them after filming, some of whom were later upset by how they felt and the way they treated him. Other allegations, part of a phone conversation. This is important. What are you doing?
I'm reading about him as well.
I'm telling you everything right now. No. But if you're not listening, you can't respond to
listening.
it. As part of a phone conversation broadcast on his radio program, Brand offered to bring a female employee with him to meet Jimmy Savile and agreed at Savile's request that she be naked. Brand personal assistant claims she saw him showing friends intimate photographs of other women. 2 former crew members on Big Brother's E-Forum show claim they felt like they were working as a pimp for Brand. A runner says Brand flashed his penis and insinuated she could give him oral sex when she walked into his dressing room. Female comedian claims Brand chased her backstage and bit her face when they giggled together, continuing after she made it clear she felt uncomfortable. TV, radio production companies have said, folks, this is a lot of information. If you want this,
Yeah.
I can get you the article. It's pretty straightforward. You guys know I always source my stuff, and I always go through all sides balance. We always listen to people if they come forward with our concerns. Have the police responded? In the wake of allegations made against Brand, the Metro Police said on Monday it had received a report on alleged sexual assault in Soho, central London in 2003. The Met said officers were in contact with a woman and provided support for her, adding, "We continue to encourage anyone who believes they may have been a victim of sexual offense, no matter how long ago it was, to contact us." The force first spoke to this on Sunday Times on Saturday. It has since made further approaches on the paper to ensure that any victims of crime who have spoken with or are aware of these may report any criminal allegations. On Sunday, the Los Angeles Police Department said it had not been notified of any incidents, reports, or allegations regarding Russell Brand or any of the accusers. It could not immediately confirm reports of an LAPD officer being alerted by Rape Crisis Center in 2012 about one of the accusers being treated there following an alleged incident with Brand. Okay, so you've got a situation here where a person goes and gets a rape kit done at the hospital. The question is, in California, I believe it is absolutely only with the victim's consent that the police be notified, because it is a HIPAA issue and it is a health issue. And if the victim does not consent in the state of California, the hospital is not allowed to share this with the police department. Olivia, would you source that for me, please, and just type in does a rape victim have to disclose to the police in California? It's a very important statute, because if she did not want to, or she felt her job, listen, I'm a sexual assault victim, okay, and I will tell you that I suppressed that shit for a better part of 8 years, 9 years, almost. Longer than that. Yeah, longer than that. And I didn't, what created the memory of it had nothing to do with my foreknowledge of it. I had suppressed it. So.
Okay, so
Go
in
ahead.
California, members of this department shall not publicly disclose the name of any adult or minor victim of a sex crime who has exercised his or her right to be confidential.
Yep.
Confidential.
Yep. So that's why the police department didn't receive it. And it would make sense. Listen, a lot of rape victims don't want to have their career destroyed. They don't want to have this. These people are in a huge prominent display of power. And it comes down to this. I have, okay. I have been with plenty of people, and I will tell you that consent was always something that I focused on. And I feel absolutely certain that any of my former partners, in my mind, would say that I was a gentleman and I was always kind and I never took advantage of the situation. But that doesn't mean that someone may not have felt that way. And I think it's really important that if these allegations are true, that it outs. But I think if anyone's going to say, well, those people should have reported it right away. Listen, he's not running for office. Russell Brand has been successful for quite a long time, and yes, he's probably one of the top 10 podcasting hosts in the world. But that doesn't mean that he did or didn't do these things. I agree with Olivia's opinion about the drug use, and I think the alcohol can definitely change some things. I think him coming out and saying the following, listen, this was a time where I was facing some very challenging demons, and I would like to think that every partner I've ever had agrees that it was consenting, and although promiscuous and although freaky deaky, I stand by that. But I want to face my accusers, you know, and a lot of people are like talking about the Me Too movement, and And I understand we should push back on the Me Too movement because I thought a lot of it was bullshit. But just because a person comes out against a celebrity and it's not on your timeline and time scale, and there is power in numbers and weakness and anonymity, I think you don't condemn these girls, these women, and you certainly don't condemn Russell Brand until we have more information. That's my gut. Olivia, what do you think?
So the one who got the rape kit and everything, if she was so thorough, why didn't she come out sooner? Why didn't she press charges sooner? I mean, the whole point of getting a rape kit done and all your ducks in a row is because you want to press charges against this person.
Let me ask you a question. Look, I'm just going to play devil's advocate. A lot of people are getting upset and they should stop because I just specifically said, what's the harm in listening? What's the harm in investigating this? Because if this was your sister, or if this was your mother, well, Tim, she asked a question. This bothers me is when people put words in Olivia's mouth. She asked a question. She didn't tell you what her final decision on this whole thing is, because I think we should all be smart enough not to make one. If this was your sister, what would you do? Would you be like, frickin' Me Too movement? No, you would want to take Russell Brand out with any blunt instrument that you could find. So that's what I think about. Like, I consider myself as a victim that I didn't share it until, my God, it didn't come out to my family until I was almost 19 years old, and it didn't come out to anyone public until 2.5 years ago. Why didn't I say anything? Well, the first thing is I never announced the people who committed the crime, because at that point I had moved on. But I felt it was important to have the conversation, of course. But to sit here and simply say it's bullshit, I think it's horribly myopic. Come on, bud. Good night, brother man. I love you too. I'll see you in the morning. Good night. Yeah. So here's my thing. Liv, say
Yes.
Amy comes to you, because if Amy was on here, we would talk about this, and I'll just use Amy. Amy comes to you and says, "Hey, I was raped." The first thing you're going to say to her is what?
First thing, I would probably ask by who and when. It's probably what I would ask.
You have a person crying and just said they were raped, and you're going to ask them who and when?
I don't know.
Stop.
Seriously, I don't know.
Disconnect and think about what you would do as a caring and loving person. Take your time.
Well, definitely going to give them a hug and make sure that they have everything that they need. Ask them if they're okay. Can I do anything for you?
And what are they going to need?
I don't know.
You don't know what you have a vagina.
Yes, but I've never been raped. I don't know.
Right, but you've had
I've
hold on a
never
second.
known
You
anyone
haven't had the
raped.
talk from counselors or went to you didn't do that in school?
No.
They didn't tell you if you were violated what to do?
I
I need to have a conversation with my daughter, because if you have not had this,
maybe in sex ed when I was a freshman, but I didn't really pay attention.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Well, I'm confused. I'm confused because I can't believe. Okay. Here, let's just do this. Amy comes over and says, "I was robbed." What are you gonna do?
Did you call the police?
That's exactly what you're gonna say with rape too. I'm sorry. What are you gonna do? Okay. So then, what's the second thing you're gonna do?
If they were robbed,
Yes.
what did they take? I would want to know. Maybe.
They took my virtue by raping me. Now what?
Oh, jeez. I thought you said for
No.
being robbed.
I'm asking you to be serious here. I don't think you're taking this exercise seriously, and it's a little frustrating because I don't think this is what you would do.
I don't know what I would do.
Sure you do, because you're the most caring human being I know. I'm shocked that you can't put it into words what you would do. This is the best way to do it. It's Hayden. Hayden comes home, and it's a horrible thought. She goes, somebody touched me inappropriately at school, and this is what happened to me. Okay, now what are you going to do? First thing.
Who was it?
Second thing. My God, you
I
know
don't-
the answer to this because you've said it 100 times when she becomes sexually active, whether that's by her will or an accident.
Oh, was there a condom involved?
No, you take her to the gosh darn doctor, Liv. You would take her to the hospital and you would ensure that she's okay. I mean, I'm just sitting here going, what? You've said it a million times that when she becomes sexually active, you want to ensure that there's protection. So if she's raped, of course you take her to the hospital. Or the police, or one or the other. Of course, that's the first thing you do. And I just think you're being put on the spot, but I know you would know this, and I know what you would do.
Probably, but there's a reason why you're the main talker on the show, because I don't do well when put on the spot.
Yeah, but that's not true. These are just normal things that I know. If I was sitting here and I asked you, and if it was Hayden, you would be like, the first thing is who, then get her to a doctor, get her checked out, collect all the evidence we can, get the police involved, get to the school. I will go over and I'll pull him out of the house and I'll do my portion as a father and come hell or high water. I mean, we know what we would do, right?
Yes.
I mean, is that fair, or am I putting words in your mouth? Because I want to make sure if that's something you wouldn't do, then let me know and we'll backpedal.
To be honest, I don't know what I would do in that situation because I've never been raped. And I don't know anyone besides you. I don't know anyone as a close personal friend who has been. And I've never been put in that situation. And that's one of those situations that until you've been through it, you have no idea how you're going to react. And
I don't know if that's true.
Being an emergency like that and being something so emotional like that, I don't know.
When Ethan broke his arm, what'd you do?
First thing I did is I went to the school and then I sent you a picture and I said he broke his arm. I'm taking him to the doctor. I called Lexi.
You never went through that situation before either, but you knew what to do.
I knew what to do.
And I have a feeling you would know what to do. Now, people are already starting, oh, poor Olivia.
I already said at the beginning, I don't need
She doesn't like being
defending.
put on the spot. Diane, it's not poor Olivia. This is a talk show. We're going to talk. We're going to have real conversation. This is exactly how we would talk to each other on the couch. Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'd be like, what do you mean you don't know what to do? How do you not know what to do? We better go get Hayden. Here's my point. And the reason why I was asking hypotheticals is for a few reasons. Is because people are saying, well, why did she go to the police if she wasn't going to use it? Because there's probably someone involved, right? There was probably somebody involved who said, hey, we got to get you to the hospital. She was raped. First thing, she's not going to be thinking clearly. Somebody's going to have to help her think clearly. No one's going to make her drive by herself. And when she gets there, she's having people go into a spot and going into areas that she does not want anyone to go into, right? And they are collecting evidence in a way that makes her feel even more violated. And the last thing any woman would want is to recreate that situation. It's very hard, and some women don't go. So all of that happens as she gets screened, and then all of a sudden, the counselor comes in and says, and she's like, what do we do now? Can I go home? And they're like, no, the next steps. She's like, all I want to do is take a shower, right? I mean, that's probably what a woman would say. I just want to wash this off of me, and I want to get clean, right? And at that point, they ask her the question. The next step is to formally contact the police. Do you want to call the police? And I can't imagine what her answer would be, but I don't know if that's the time to be making that decision when she is emotionally distraught. And maybe she simply said, no, I don't want to. I don't want this out. I don't want to be reshamed. I don't want people. What if they don't believe me? I mean, dude, that is like the easiest thing for me to understand why she didn't contact the police. It's the same reason why women don't post it on Facebook unless you're a nutso celebrity. And it said that I got an abortion because it's a traumatic experience and it's horribly gut and heart wrenching. They don't have to call the police in California. That's not true. It depends on the state. We just looked it up. That was my first question. They're not required to disclose it to the police because of HIPAA laws, and California is completely fucked up as Hogan's goat. And I know this because I did retail work in California for a long time, and there's certain things that happened in my workplace that we could not report to the police without consent from the victim. And I can't go into details still. So I think we all need to slow down, right? It's easy to say, well, if I was raped, I know what I would do. And in Olivia's case, I got to commend her. She's like, I don't know what I would do. But yeah, this may be BS. Some of this may not be true. Some of this may be fraudulent. And as we found out from Kavanaugh, the Blasey Ford accusations, in my opinion, were complete bullshit. I think the E. Jean Carroll allegations, I think Trump messed around with her. I'm going to say he did, but I don't think he raped her. And I think, honestly, he just decided to pay, but he knew who she was. Come on. And I don't think it was rape. Like, it just doesn't strike me the way she talked about it, the way she acted about it as a victim. You guys know how I feel about this. And I think I have enough of looking at court records and looking at the court reporters' minutes and reading what I've read about it. I don't feel convinced that it was rape, and neither did the jury. So I think it's important that some are fraudulent, some have truth, that this needs to be investigated. And the police, now you have a victim who is within the statute of limitations, who wants, I think the statute of limitations in California is like 25 years for rape. Can you look that up?
Yes.
I think it's somewhere past 2 decades. It's pretty long, if I'm not mistaken. And California is very strange with their rules. I mean, they really are. So there's a lot to this. Let's just listen to it. Now, Russell Brand has created a very, very strong defense, and he even tried to do it today, where the media is going to have to get him, and there's conspiracy theories about me, and I'm hovering over the target, and when you talk like that, it's kind of like the Alex Jones thing, is that he prescribed some of the things that ultimately happened based upon what he said, and gave himself a blanket. And as soon as they went after him, he's like, "See, it's a red flag. That this is all set up." Well, no, he actually said something extremely stupid, without thought, and like a lot of people who are sensationalists. And even though Alex Jones has been right about quite a few things, you have to take responsibility for the things you say and the things you do. This is why I don't go around half-cocked and just make these grandiose predictions that can ultimately not only make me lose value as a person, but essentially get me in some serious hot water if I don't know what I'm talking about. So I just want to be completely transparent. I don't think Trump was guilty of anything. I think Trump is a philanderer and a playboy, and he's always been that way. And it's easy for me to believe that he absolutely went into Bergdahl's and absolutely went in that dressing room and absolutely screwed around with her. And then all these years later, she goes ahead and comes out about it. Very feasible to me. It's absolutely 100% within the wheelhouse of Donald Trump, in my opinion. Does that make him a rapist? Absolutely not. No, it doesn't. But just because she said so, this is why it was never criminally charged. But in a civil case, completely different. What's up?
Okay, so for California, in felony sexual assault crimes, there's no statute of limitations.
I knew it was
can be
long.
1 year to 50 years.
I knew it was long. Yeah.
But it's for serious sexual assault, such as forcible rape. But then it goes into other ones that are minor misdemeanors,
Yep.
8 years, 6 years,
Yep,
3
sexual
years.
assault, things like that.
So it's got to be
It's going to be a felony.
it's got to be
felony
a
assault.
felony egregious assault.
Yep.
That's gonna
So rape.
Rape. Yep.
Rape is like stalking has a certain parameter. Sexual misconduct has a certain time frame, but felony assault rape is not. There is no statute. I thought it was 25 years, but that must have changed. So once again, rules in California are completely different than rules everywhere else in the United States, and this is liberal havens. So anyway, I think we've talked about this. I think we've made some clear points. Josh says the hospital has a rape kit that will collect DNA samples. Usually the police will meet you there. Best thing is to start a documented paper trail. Court love precise dates and times. If other evidence come out later, this will be important. All true.
I think in a lot of these cases, especially high-profile ones with high-profile actors or celebrities or public figures, that there is, depending on how many people are coming out and accusing this person, I believe, if there's 4 people accusing him, maybe 1, maybe 2 are true, and I think some are not. And I think some people go on the bandwagon, and just because, and I mean, of course, I don't know anything, but it just seems that one person comes out and then all of a sudden 50 people come out. And it's like, it just seems a little much.
But I address that there's
Yeah.
strength in numbers, right? And then
Yeah.
there's fear and anonymity. I mean,
I guess it's like the United States Olympic gymnastics team, the doctor.
right, exactly. See, and like that is a perfect situation where everyone said that there's no way this guy, and they all went after those women were abused for generations, and you didn't hear anyone retract. And there were papers and talk show hosts who were extremely negative towards those women, and that's the shit I'm talking about. Is not everything can be fake. Catherine says, totally not feasible about Trump. See, immediately that just shuts down. It's not feasible. You have that. Then you don't know enough about Donald Trump and his early days and what he did. I mean, the guy was a philanderer. He was a playboy. Give me
You
a break.
understand that he had an affair in every single marriage.
Every marriage, multiple.
Every marriage.
Come on. Listen, anyone who's going to sit here and tell me that there's not a chance that E. Jean Carroll, who he knew her husband very well, they were friends, they had interviewed multiple times on NBC. He was a New York, very famous telecaster. And, even if you look at his deposition where he even mistook E. Jean Carroll for, what was it?
His wife.
What was it?
Ivana.
Ivana.
Ivana Trump.
And mistook her and says she's not my type. And it's like, wait a second, So, and listen, there's glasses. I saw him squint. I did a full show on this of how he could have mistook that. I even lined up the photograph, the size. I mean, you should watch that show. That show freaking crushed. And I'm with you. I don't believe he raped her in any way, shape, or form. But to say that there was no physical something or other, and the fact that he said he had never been to Bergdahl's, and we wound up finding out that wasn't true. There's just things that make you go, it's possible. And civilly, that's why they didn't do criminal. So I've already said that. It's completely not feasible about rape. But is there an opportunity where he knew her and messed around with her? Yeah. Come on. And anyone who says no, to say because she's a Democrat, Trump was a Democrat for most of his life. Trump was a Democrat whenever it was politically advantageous for his business to be a Democrat. And he was a Republican when he needed. He was a Republican with the Reagan years. When Bill Clinton was around, he was very focused on being a Democrat. And then it really kind of changed after the Bush years because he wasn't very fond of Bush. And then obviously with Obama, he despised Obama. So I just want to be really clear for everyone who thinks that Donald Trump eats ice cream and sits in the pews. I think you're fooling yourself just a little bit. There was definitely a checkered past. That's my point. Anything else, Liv?
No, I mean, we could talk about this for longer, but no. I think we're good.
Dude, this chick is flying off the fucking
Which
handle. Dude, I met him in the 90s. He's gross, but F you, he didn't need to rape her. What the? I didn't. Is she talking to me or is she talking to someone else?
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Can somebody, Catherine
Maybe
Curcio?
Catherine is the name.
Catherine, sorry, I'm bad with that. This person, is she talking to me?
Probably not. There's a bunch of threads going on.
Can somebody reply? Because
Catherine Curcio or something.
Curcio. Cruciatus curse.
There's a huge strain going on.
What's going on? Because hold on. Dan,
no, he's not talking to you. She's not talking to you. There's a whole thread. There's like 25 comments in the thread. So
okay.
No, she's not talking to you.
Tim, let me explain something, dude. I'm not a fucking I'm not a circus performer, bro. No, she goes, no, I was definitely talking to you. What the fuck is your problem, lady? I didn't say he raped her. What the can you not hear?
No, that's still in the same thread, I think.
Dude, okay, is this chick talking about to me or someone else? Because I am so Karen, who's she talking to, Karen Vera? Because I don't want to take off on this chick if she's not talking to me. Because I have never even once used the word rape when it comes to Donald Trump and E. Jean Carroll. And I feel like she's like, because now she's like, no, I was definitely talking to you.
I don't know.
Well, find out. Let's find out. I mean, because this is the whole part of the show that I love. I would love to have an interaction. Vicky, she's talking to me. Well, then she's just an idiot. Because in no time did I say that Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll. At all. Because I specifically just told you there was not enough evidence for the court to do that. The judge even said it. I even said I did a freaking hour-and-a-half video breaking down and even showing you the light coming through the photograph and how big it would be for a 70-something-year-old man to be able to look at the picture and possibly mistake it for his wife. She's blonde. She was thin, very much like Ivana at the time. What the heck are you talking about, lady? The heck are you talking about?
What was Tim talking about here?
Tim wants me to talk about the F-35. I'm going to talk about the F-35, but this is important to me too. I mean, come on, this is news. Listen, if you believe that Donald Trump is as pure as driven snow, and she's like, well, I met him in the 90s. Who gives a shit? Who cares? I met him in 2010 and I met him in 2018. Who cares? That doesn't have anything to do with it. What does that matter? I never said he raped her. But if you're going to tell me that Donald Trump didn't have consenting relationships with multiple women, even while he was married, well, then you haven't even read any of his books. Because he exposes himself. Now, in the deposition, he says, no, I don't know if I had, these relations. And people are like, are you kidding me? You flaunted it. This is ridiculous. Just because he messed around and he was an adulterer doesn't mean he's a rapist. Come on. Where do these people come from? Where do they come from?
The far right.
I mean, seriously, I bet you think
or
they'll like
Q-land.
Freaking just insanity. Have her call in. Here's the number. Call in. Come yell at me. Let's talk facts. There it is. I met him early 90s too, said hello. That's it. Did he rape you? I mean, it sounds like, I guess that's what she thinks is, that Donald Trump didn't rape me when I met him. So therefore, he didn't rape anybody. I don't believe it at all. In any way, shape, or form.
He has enough money. I mean, women would just flaunt to it. That's the thing, is when you've got that much money, women kind of flock to the money. And
Jared said Catherine Crucio is going to call in. Good, call in. Call in, please. You're giving me heartburn. Here. Let's have her call in. There's the number. Click on that link. Lots of men cheat on their wife. There's nothing new. Of course. Doesn't mean they're rapists. I mean, that's like basically saying because, you went ahead and took some raid ant killer to an anthill that you're Ted Bundy. Give me a break. Exactly. People threw themselves all over him with his wife right by his side. What? Lady, are you punking me? Is Ashton Kutcher here or something? Am I getting punked? What the hell are you talking about? Whatever. I'm done with this fool. I don't have time for idiots anymore. I don't have time for it. Either call in and figure out what you're trying to say. And here's this. Just please, I'll give you $10,000. $10,000. If you cut this show and you play the clip where I said Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll, I think you're a punk in yourself. That's not even English. Lady, let me try to, I need you to pull your head out of your ass. And then I need you to grab your nose and blow as hard as you can to clear the shit out of your ears. I'll give you $10,000 to Venmo or PayPal tonight live. If you can stop, take your Prozac or lithium or whatever in your evening cocktail and go through this video and you cut the clip where I said Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll. I'll give you $10,000 cash. 10,000. Olivia, will I do it?
yes.
10,000. Wow, what a dick. No, you're a bitch. You're a bitch. You're just being a fucking snatch. And I'm sorry, but you're going to go ahead and start calling me names. I'm going to call them right back to you. You're being a bitch. I'm sorry. I don't use that word very often, but you're not going to sit here and call me a dick because you're an idiot and you can't hear. It's not my fault that you can't hear. You're so freaking, you got such a hard on for Donald Trump that you just immediately assume that anyone says anything that slightly reduces your opinion in any way, shape, or form. It's like Dragon's Bane. You start just freaking firing volleys left and right. You don't get to call me a dick because you're stupid. That's not how this works.
I can't find the comment where she said that.
You're putting words into my mouth. Just come on live. You know what? You can call me a dick in person. Sorry, but I have no problem. I have no problem calling you that name. You're a bitch. I'll give you $10,000. $10,000 cash. Bam! I'll even pay. You know what? Fuck it. I'll gross it up for you. I will pay your taxes on it too. I will give you $13,000. $10,000 straight up. Use 30%. $3,000. I'll give you $13,000. No, I'm not okay because you're a fucking idiot. You completely fill the blonde idiot role perfectly. Listen, how lonely and desperate do you have to be to live vicariously through Donald Trump? I don't understand it. $10,000. $10,000 cash. $13,000. I'll gross up your taxes. All right. Every show seems to have one. Thanks a lot for stopping by. What do you think of? Vicky, knock it off. What do you think of?
What did Vicky? I can't even see half the
No,
comments.
Tasha goes, I'm blonde. Yeah, but see, not every blonde is that way. It's just people like her, right? Where they're such nutters that unless you say that Donald Trump is the Messiah from Jesus Christ and he's the second coming, that you're a rhino disloyalist. It's absolutely insanity. It's absolutely insanity. Do you want to try to get her to call in?
Why don't you call in, Catherine? I will make sure that Matt doesn't say a word and you can debate me. So there you go. There's your chance. Your one chance to call into the show.
Dean says,
and not have to debate Matthew.
Dean says she probably loved your show on all the conspiracy stories, probably believe them. Dean, which conspiracy stories did I go ahead and talk about?
No, the ones you did the other day. We were talking about conspiracies, and I don't know if it was the live or it was your recorded show.
I don't know.
I don't remember. We were talking about conspiracies or something like that, and that's what he's referring to.
Listen, Christine, I believe in equality, dude. Can't find the number, just the link.
There is no number. It's a link that you have to press it either on your phone or your computer.
Oh my gosh.
When you click the link, it will call into the show. We don't have a phone number to the show.
And there's a reason why we don't have a phone number. You got to actually have some sack and put your face on screen. By the way, I never would have called you the B word if you didn't call me a dick. There's no reason for that. I was not being a dick to you. I was concerned, and I'm like, "What? Is she talking to me?"
She must not have been here at the beginning of the show.
It's just ridiculous that you think. Listen, it's all about equality. If you get to call me a dick, I'm calling you a bitch. I don't care anymore. You want equality until you register for the selective service. Fuck you very much. That's the equality I want to bring to you. Click the link, lady.
Now, did you know that's the exact excuse we get from, I can't click the link.
I don't understand how to do it.
Phone number. I can't
I'm smart enough to understand. If you met Donald
But-
Trump in the 90s, shouldn't you have some of his omnipotent powers of like the blood of Christ? Isn't there something like the hair follicles of Trump that rubbed off on you? Shouldn't you be omnipotent? Shouldn't you just be able to like power into the show, hack it like an F-35? Lady, I got to talk about the F-35. Hurry up. I'm literally giving you 1 minute.
Really, I worked all day. I work all day tomorrow, and I'm getting a cold, and I really don't want to sit here and do this anymore.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up, please, for
All
the
right.
love of God.
All right, I'm just doing the
Yes,
F-35.
do it.
She's
Just move on.
Lady,
I don't
when
care.
when you use your 3 IQ to figure out how to go ahead and do this, let me know. How do you run your dishwasher and your vacuum cleaner if you can't figure out how to click a link? I'm just wondering. Just saying. All right. Hey, Matt, ask her about the plan. Do you don't even have the soundboard anymore, do you?
No, I have nothing. Well, I've got the soundboard, but yes, I've got this.
You didn't even play the plan.
Okay, I'm looking.
All right, let's get to it. We got to get to the F-35.
I'm looking.
It's all part of the plan.
You know, no reason to call me a dick. I mean, it is true. I can be a dick. There's no doubt.
But I am the only person gets to call him that.
That's true, and usually it's in the third person. So all right. So F-35. All right. So let's talk about this. Okay. Now, can I show you guys how conspiracy theories start? Does everyone want to see?
Yes.
Okay. So watch this. I'm gonna convince you guys of something. Here's what it comes down to. You know what? No, we're not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and talk about something else because Tim is still crying. Tim, it doesn't work that way, man. I'm not a monkey, man. Stop making me feel like I'm a caged animal. You're just like, do something, monkey. What movie is that? Oh yeah, it's Wedding Crashers, where he goes, he's like, I'm gonna make you a balloon. He's like, what do you want? He's like, a bicycle.
Right turn, Clyde.
No,
That's what I think of.
No. Don't. And Vince Vaughn goes, a bicycle is a lot of work. How about a giraffe? He's like, make me a bicycle, clown.
Oh, that's right.
All right. F-35. I'm gonna give you a conspiracy theory. So what went over like 12 different states that started from the Pacific Ocean, went up through the southern Canadian Rockies, traversed the Canadian and U.S. border, and then wound it up off the coast of South Carolina and was shot down?
That would be the Chinese spy balloon.
The Chinese spy balloon.
Yes.
And it was shot down by what?
Us. I don't know by what.
It was shot down by the United States. Does anybody know what plane shot it down?
This would be the F-35. I don't know.
Does anybody know?
No. Anybody?
So I already know what real plane. So anybody who knows what the real plane is, don't say it. Especially Mike and Kyung, don't say it. Shit. Tim's big mouth. So now what I'm going to do is say, so it was a Marine Corps on civilian air patrol, filling in for the National Guard and the Air Force Air National Guard. And it was an F-35-2 Lightning out of South Carolina, and the Marine Corps base that just lost an F-35. And the Chinese spy balloon had electronic countermeasures and had the ability to read and process the entire operating system on the F-35 and give that back to China. Now, China has the ability to control our F-35s, put it on autopilot, put it in stealth mode, and because that base has had 3 flight errors and issues over the last quarter, China is testing to destroy our F-35 capabilities, and there's 1,000 of them, and they're quite formidable. So China is taking them out in the prelude to war. Bank it, folks. That's what happened. Now, let me tell you what really happened. Okay? None of that shit took place. None of that shit took place. It was the Air Force, and it was an F-22 that engaged that. There was 2 F-22s. One was its wing, obviously running in tandem, and they shot down the Chinese spy balloon off the coast of South Carolina. That's not the way it works. This isn't Men in Black, okay? Or not Men in Black, but Independence Day, where they use a US-based binary laptop to hack alien technology and plant a virus. Okay. Yeah, whatever. They didn't compromise our software because that's not the way it works. Okay? If you think that's the way it works on weapon systems, that they broadcast their internal operating system out to the network, or that there's some super secret laser beam that allows them to engage with an F-22 a mere seconds after it gets blasted and blown up, you're crazy. The F-35 was not hacked. Now, let me tell you something about the F-35 too, and we can talk a little bit about that. It didn't go to Cuba. It's not in Iran. It's not in Afghanistan. And it most assuredly crashed. How do I know it crashed? That's the one piece of confirmation that I can absolutely get, is that it did crash. And the source is impeccable. The second source of information I have is that the pilot is under guard and was under guard during his time at the hospital. And it was very important for the Marine Corps and the United States government, specifically the DOD, for him not to talk to anybody. Okay? Those are the two bits of information that I have that are incontrovertible fact from human sources that I trust. Okay? Pilot was under guard. And whether that was for something other than his protection, or to ensure that there was 100% radio silence on it, or the fact that he was under arrest, I can't answer that question. But I can tell you that. Okay, so those are two things I can tell you with no equivocation. Let me tell you a little bit about the F-35. A lot of people are freaking out. They're like, how the hell did that thing fly to North Carolina? I don't care what Benny says. Benny is full of shit. And I have said that on this show. He's the national fucking inquirer, okay? And if Benny wants to come on my show and dispute the facts with me, bring it on. Because there is nothing that Benny has ever said on his show that isn't directly from Fox News. That is the one time liberals are right. All you do is watch Fox. They're talking about Benny. Okay? Now, there's a couple things you need to know about any weapon system that is going to engage with the enemy or possibly be susceptible to friendly fire. Okay? There is something called IFF transponders. It's called Identified Friendly Foe. And IFF transponders are not just military, but they're on pretty much every aircraft, even civilian. This is how I tracked aircraft, and I've tracked trains and other things, and I've showed you the mapping software. So there's a couple things you need to know about the F-35 in particular. One is there are multiple redundancies to ensure that you have the location of that at all times. However, there are certain technologies in the F-35 that make it very difficult. It is a stealth fighter. It doesn't disappear, but it makes it very difficult to track. The thing that we need to understand is that there were multiple fail-safes in place. One is that at all times, it would be under air traffic control, that it would have been seen and it would have been absolutely hand walked to wherever it's going from point A to point B. And if it diverted from that in any way, shape, or form, and because they were on a patrol, and we know this because this happens all the time over all major cities, there is always cap running and to ensure that airspace is not permeated or there are no perpetrators in U.S. airspace. And I'm being very careful with what I say and don't say. So if you can't hear, I'm stammering a little bit on purpose because I'm trying not to say things that I don't want to say. The fact that air traffic control lost contact with this and have no idea where it went down is concerning, which means that one of two things most assuredly happened. The IFF was disabled or non-operable. It's actually not on the outside on all, Tim. So, and I'm not saying it's a box, but I'm trying to also be simplistic. IFF is also in the nose cone of some weapon systems, and it is external on other weapon systems, and that's not important to this conversation. But either way, you have something that's not operable. And just hear me out. So you've got a situation where air traffic control loses it. It was in stealth mode. IFF isn't squawking. And some reason, the pilot ejects. I want to know the altitude that pilot ejected, number one. I want to see the flight logs and the tracking that they did have, because the only thing that I am thinking of IFF not working, it's under stealth, and the co-pilot does not follow it down. Is against everything that I have learned from pilots or I learned in Intel, is that if a pilot goes down, you are running circular patterns over that crash site to look for the plume of a chute, to see if the ejection, to visualize everything, to ensure that if any flight recorder information is not retrieved, that your visual report is going to literally assist in finding friend, finding fellow aviator, and also helping with any situation to identify what happened in an investigation. So that's SOP. That pilot would immediately bank and have a visual of what was happening and circling that target over and over and over. Now, a lot of people are saying that this flight was far away from their original cap and their original route. Sortie or whatever else you want to say, but there's no bombing going on here. Well, at the speeds that an F-35 would be traveling, you could do 75 miles in a minute. So it's not too hard to believe that at altitude on autopilot, once that pilot makes the decision to eject, or didn't make the decision, which we'll cover in a second, that plane would have not a difficult time reaching the destination where it crashed. The question we have to ask ourselves is, if it was on autopilot, why did the pilot eject? There are a lot of reasons why a pilot would eject. There could have been a hydraulic failure. There could have been electronic failure. There could have been a midair collision with his buddy, which would explain why some systems weren't working, including IFF. Because the thing about an F-35 that I can tell you is that it doesn't fly like a normal jet. Its takeoff profile, its landing profile, and its recovery profile and countermeasure systems are extremely advanced, and the computers are relied heavily upon flying an F-35 effectively, and especially in an emergency situation. There is an opportunity for operator error as well. However, it's not the days of Top Gun where pull the hood, okay? And it's not the old days in the F-4 Phantom where you yank the emergency brake. And I'm not going to go into any of that shit on live with you. But I will tell you, there are times in a situation in an F-35 where the decision is not based on the pilot's discretion when to eject. That the F-35 can see and understand things ahead of time because the computers and the systems on an F-35 are prognosticators in the success and variables of continuing flight or not. And if those systems say, fucking pull, fucking go, or there is a reaction that is absolutely that needs to be made in a microsecond or a fraction of a second that a human being cannot discern, those planes will tell that pilot to pop fucking smoke and get out of that plane. And if that pilot doesn't react effectively, that plane will make that decision for them. And that is all I can say. I can't go into any more on that, and I won't. But if Leroy was here, Leroy would be like, yeah, I can't say shit. In the way that Leroy does that. Nope, I can't say anything. So if there's malfunctions on that plane, and it's electronic failure, if it's electronic failure, it's going down. It's going to go down. Now, some people are saying that the F-35 Lightning II-B, the F-35B, the B stands for, what does the B stand for? Well, that's a good question. So if you have like an FA in the first column, it's fighter attack. And if you have A and B and C and D, like the A4 Skyhawk has like 5 different versions, alphanumeric versions of itself. The F4 Phantom was the same way. The F-16, the F-15 Strike Eagle, the A-10, you can go on and on and on. You can go on through most fighter aircraft will have Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo versions, even Foxtrot versions. The F-4F is a perfect example with a Phantom. So when you look at that, a lot of people are saying, well, it was a Bravo. Would it usually have a RIO, which is like a radar intercept officer? Somebody who watches the radar. Goose. It's fucking Goose. We're going to hit the brakes. We're going to fly right by. You're going to do what? Is it standard for a Bravo type aircraft to have a single pilot? And by the way, Kyung's right. B is a revision. The 2 can also stand for that too. In this case, Bravo, Alpha, Charlie, whatever it is, could be a version, a revision, or how many seats it has, or what type of armament it can carry. The F-18 Super Hornet is a perfect example. Had longer range, more bomb carrying capacity, had some upgraded systems and some other things you don't need to know about. So the thing I will say is that a lot of people say, well, shouldn't there have been 2 pilots? No, not necessarily. No, not necessarily. In a situation where someone's doing CAP, civilian air patrol for like Army National Guard, or responding to doing some sort of escort. Escorts can be done when a high profile package is coming in. It could be that there are 2 Foxtrots that are 375 miles off the coast and they want to have a couple birds squawking up in the air. So does it always indicate Alpha, Bravo, that it's singular or it's a dual passenger aircraft? No, it doesn't. So should there have been 2 pilots? No. First of all, you have to discern whether that version of that F-35 could handle 2 pilots or not. And I don't know. I haven't looked. And I'm not aware. Kyung will tell you. Maybe Tim can tell you. Because I believe it's single passenger. But I could be wrong. I know there are dual passenger F-35s, but whether... We'll just look it up. Sorry, Liv. We're going long on this one. F-35B Lightning. Single. Holy crap, I heard her purr.
She's purring. She wants to put her 2 cents in too.
So F-35 single. So no, there shouldn't have been 2 pilot. And I didn't know. I haven't looked. And you know what? I don't know if there's any dual F-35 because there's no reason for a Rio in that. Someone let me know. See, the reason why F-14 and the F-4 and certain planes had Rios in the back is because they couldn't look behind them. And they didn't have that ability. And the pilots couldn't see behind them, so they would have to. And the radar capabilities weren't that good. They didn't have 360-degree horizons. Well, these new planes have 360-degree horizons. So having those guys back there looking like this, and the Rios check the back of the plane and check their six is a lot of the reasons they're there. And to run the radar and things to that effect. And also to be a second stick in case of emergency on certain models. But the whole thing, the whole thing is a single pilot is nothing out of the ordinary. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about something else. So what about what brought it down? Well, if it's an electronic failure, there is a very good chance. I'm not saying a great chance, but it would explain a few things when it comes to IR. It doesn't necessarily, IFF. It doesn't necessarily mean that the engine is completely gone. Understand that you can have electrical failure on your systems and the engine's still working. Yeah, but Mel, I don't think they fly the 35s in training. They're too expensive. So they're going to fly T-38s, T-1s, or something else. And most of that's going to be stick time behind a flight simulator more than anything. Most of those pilots, before they even get into it, I mean, they probably have to put, I can't even imagine how many hundreds of hours in a simulator before they even see stick time. But it's possible. I don't think so. But maybe, I don't know. But I'm pretty confident there would be two-seater F-35. Someone could confirm it for me. It doesn't really matter. The whole point is bird strike's possible, but that would affect engines. That's not electronic necessarily. It comes down to this. My first gut reaction was that they were running cap. It is the Marine Corps. No offense. Great pilots. There's nothing wrong with the Marine Corps. They aren't the Navy and they're not the Air Force, but they're great pilots. But my first instinct was that there was some sort of collision between the two planes at altitude working in tandem. That's my gut. That was my first gut. And if electric failure happened, then it's absolutely feasible that there could have been some sort of contact between. Now, they're not sitting Blue Angels and Thunderbirds, but they are running in pattern. And they are absolutely on each other's wings. And they're running in tandem. And it would make sense why the second plane went back. Because the second plane didn't stay. Second plane didn't hold. He didn't do his job. Too many failures. Air traffic control fails. IFF fails. Electronic fails. Guy pops. Plane doesn't go ahead and ditch out in the water. And those systems, I can't go into anything else. But Tim, I can't go into specifics. I'm just telling you that if there is a fit, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that, so I won't. I can't do that. So all I'm going to tell you is that there are countermeasures in place for that plane. Even when a pilot ejects, even if there's loss, it still has glide slope. It's still, as long as there's hydraulics, it has the ability to make sure that it goes in a spot that is the safest possible spot that it could go to. It's the best way I can describe it. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the plane where it landed and it ultimately crashed was by design and certainly not by an accident. That's in my estimation, it is completely by design. That's all I'll say. So why didn't the second plane follow its pattern, ensure they saw landing of where the plane was? Well, the only reason why is because he popped and ejected and pilot focused on shoot to see if he had a hard open on that shoot and stayed with the pilot as the plane continued on its course to ultimately crash. Why couldn't they track it? If this happened as fast as we thought it did, there is a possibility that air traffic control lost this thing. And if they were flying in stealth, which is possible during training, it doesn't mean that our systems would have 100% autonomous information about that plane at all times. Said it took 24 hours to find it. Yeah. I mean, if you think that I'm not asking questions, I am. Why do you ground them? Because there was an electronic failure, and they know that this is the F-35 is a $1.79 trillion lifetime investment. It is the most expensive weapon system ever in American history, ever. It will be almost twice as much as the F-18, 3 times as much as the F-14. This is the most expensive weapon system ever. $80 million for a plane is a lot of fucking money. And absolutely 100%, these things are expensive, but with all that technology, there will be problems. And the F-35 has had its share of problems. Melanie says your brother said something entirely different. No, I'm floating ideas. And I'm simply asking questions because I'm not going to sit here. The only thing I know for sure is that decision to pop that canopy may not have been the pilot's decision. That's number one. Because understand the way that the F-35, it flies differently than any plane. Just go look at the schematics of the F-35. You'll understand. Go see what it could do at an air show. Those systems, if there's failure, the way that flies is that it's not 100% controllable by pilot on a stick. And if you lose control and you lose electronics and avionics in that plane, dead sticking that thing is not necessarily possible, depending upon the situation. So I would love to hear real quick what your brother said. Because I would love to hear his theory. Just Melanie, give me the short version. They put new systems on it 2 years ago. Also are added. Well, there's a lot of new things they've added to it. I mean, it's constantly. It's what? Who has a man crush on me?
I think Richard's got a man crush on you, Dick.
On my dick?
No, we nicknamed him Dick because his name is Richard.
Oh.
So I think he's got a bit of a man crush on you. Because he's putting smiley faces with hearts and
I don't really care.
Yeah.
Whatever. As long as Psycho Catherine doesn't have a problem. I guess she's still watching. I mean,
I'm sure she is.
It's not the first time you've heard that, Catherine. I'm assuming.
She made the excuse of, oh, well, I finally figured out how to call, but now you changed the subject. It's funny how they all say that. I couldn't figure it out, but no, you've changed the subject, so I'm not.
Let me explain why there's a civilian call to find the plane. Because my belief is, okay, all right, fuck it. I'm just going to say it. All right, here it is. The United States Marine Corps, the United States Navy, United States Army, Air Force, and Space Force, fuck the Space Force, are no longer what they used to be. They are undermanned, they're understaffed, and undertrained. Sea schools now take 35% less than they used to. The training is, hi, Becky. The training is nowhere where it used to be. Air traffic control is one of the most strenuous jobs in the world. And I truly believe that this was an air traffic control failure. I truly, in my opinion, believe that these planes collided because of air traffic control failure. I believe the electronic system at that point, IFF and other systems on that plane failed. I believe other pilot boogied back to base or went in a circular pattern over ejection site. And that weapon system flew for 1 minute and the lack of training from the air traffic controlman and the ability to find that plane somehow, a ball was dropped. Now, you're like, well, what if they recorded it? What, can't they go back and look at logs? It depends if they were tracking the vehicle to begin with. We don't know. There's so many questions here, but you have multiple systems failing. Now, a lot of people are sabotage. It was hacked by China. And it's like, well, then why wouldn't you bring both down? Or why wouldn't you just turn them towards Washington? Okay, so there's a lot of, let's just slow down. The most common answer is usually the most simple one. And the simple one is that this has everything to do with training. And I believe it was completely dropped on air traffic control. And there's something else you don't know is that those F-35s are being tracked and looked at from not from South Carolina and North Carolina. Where's their proof that there were two planes? Well, you're not going to like it, Tim. One is that the same exact source that I told you at the beginning and what I told you to confirm that, and that it's actually being confirmed by every single newspaper and all the reports we're getting from the DOD is that they were on a cap and that there were two planes. Why are you going to send out a solo F-35? How does that, why? Every F-35 and F-22 you've ever seen is always tandem and it's always running in pairs. Two aircraft is SOP, especially for that mission. You're not going to send a single F-35 up. It's just, there's no point. You're going to send two up together. You're going to put them in tandem. Because if one has to bug out, then they can't complete mission. And that's their job. I thought its transponder was off. Well, being off and not working properly are two different things. NORAD and SAC, yeah, and a couple of others. Yeah, Paul knows what he's talking about. Just there's certain things that I'm just going to tell you that things can get missed. That's all I'm going to tell you. And mistakes happen all the time. And this isn't the first time that the United States has lost a plane. I'm just letting you know. We've lost subs. The United States has lost squadrons before. And mistakes happen. All I'm going to tell you is it's very fishy to me about what took place. But you're going to get an investigation. You're going to get a little bit of information. And you're not going to get a whole bunch of detail, but they will have to disclose it's too big. They're going to have to tell us something. But they've also told us that the verbiage that they used. I'm going to give you one more piece of insider information, then I'm going to stop talking. When you have a military aircraft crash, there are classifications A through E that are given to the crash. And E usually means that it is a singular investigation, like an FAA investigation. And alpha means that it's a multifaceted investigation from psychological background, avionics, electric, hydraulics, onboard computer systems, radar systems, air traffic control, chain of command, flight checklists, overall training, criminal investigation, pilot bank accounts. An alpha investigation checks everything. Foreign interference. This was an alpha crash. And it was classified as an A class. And I don't know if you knew that. In fact, I'm pretty sure none of you knew that because that's not in the papers. So this is an alpha investigation. It is one of the highest classification, highest priority investigations that the military has and the FAA has to investigate a crash. This is an alpha priority, which means everything will be looked at. And that should lead you to believe that there's more to this than just electronic failure.
We're going to phone call.
All right. calling in. All right, it's Catherine.
Catherine. It's got to be Catherine.
It's Catherine. Why do I always screw that up? What the hell's wrong with me? I think it's you. It's your fault. I think it's my.
You're horrible with names.
I'm not horrible. I'm not great at it. All right, so we got Catherine. Let me get her on here. She called me a dick earlier. We'll see if she's that salty in a few seconds.
Yeah.
Catherine, you called me a dick. Why'd you call me?
I'm salty.
Why'd you call me a dick? Why would you call me a dick? What's wrong with you?
Let's see. You called me a stupid blonde conspiracy theorist wacko nut job for like.
Yeah, I don't know if I said that right away. I think you might have said a few things before I said that. What do you think?
No, I don't.
All right, fine, whatever. All right, so I said your argument is that I said Trump raped E. Jean Carroll. Is that correct?
No, you said it's not feasible the way everything happened. And you said it's feasible, and I'm like, no, it's really technically not feasible. There's
That's
no
not what I
way.
said.
You know.
Go ahead, I'll let you finish.
The guy, even I don't give a shit. He's a fucking retard. I've known that my whole life. I've met him. I've known him. You know, whatever. He's just bigger than life. Anybody would screw him just for fun. And I'm just saying, not myself. I've been there. I've been at the bar where he's at. He walks in a room, the place parts, girls, women drop their whatever. This was 34, years ago.
Where was this at? What bar was this?
At the Oak Room in his freaking hotel, the Oak Room in his hotel.
He spent a lot of time in the bar. Wait, he spent a lot of time in the bar?
He would come down. My father got married at his hotels at the Palace, so he was
What would
there.
what would he wear when he? I'm interested. What would he wear when he was going to the bar?
He literally wears what he wears: a suit, just like you see him, just a suit and a thing, and his.
Did he
wife
ever buy you a?
inside.
Did he ever buy you a drink?
No, it wasn't like that, and we're not like that. Like,
what did he?
My father
What was
just
he?
got married.
What was his? What was his favorite drink? Was he like Cristal or was he tequila or what was his?
He doesn't drink.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm testing you to make sure you're not full of shit.
You said you told me.
But I'm gonna. Of course, I'm gonna test you to make sure you're not full of shit. So I gotta do that.
Keep testing me. I don't care. I don't care about failing tests either. But my point is, you said it's not. It's totally feasible. I wasn't trying to say like,
what's
you're
feasible?
ridiculous.
What's feasible? Slow down. What's feasible?
The comment was, you said something like, it's totally feasible. And I'm like, well, it's not really feasible because the bottom line is, I don't believe a word this woman said. She was back.
What's not feasible? What are you? What are you?
Have to rape anybody.
Never said it was feasible that he raped her. In fact, I said it wasn't feasible. Do you understand the difference in between was and wasn't feasible? Not after.
You said it
No, I
after
didn't.
the comment. You did
No, I
too.
didn't.
Okay.
No, I didn't. That's the way you interpret it. In no way, shape, or form did I say that Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll or that it was feasible that he raped E. Jean Carroll. What I said, hold on. See, here's the thing. You think this might be you to come on and just fucking vent, but that's not what we're going to do.
I'm not. You asked me to
You
call
won't shut up.
I've had people harass me.
Just for 1 minute. I'm not your husband. Just be quiet for a minute. Be quiet.
I'm listening, dude. Keep
No,
going.
you're not, dude. You won't stop engaging the mouth. Just take 2 seconds and just close
that's
it.
why I called you a dick. You're rude.
You know
Really
what?
rude.
You know what? You're being disrespectful and you're not allowing a conversation to take place. All you want to do is talk.
You
So
told
you can
me
continue.
that you wanted me to call in to explain.
You can continue. No, I wanted you to call in and have a conversation. But you think I want you to call in and have you just verbally diarrhea all over the place? I can have that anytime. I can bring my 4-year-old on.
See, you're really.
But if you want to have a conversation,
Look, I don't really want to have this conversation. You're very.
well, then
rude.
why the fuck are you
Really.
calling me?
Because I'm not a punk. You asked me to call. You told me I was
You're being a punk because you're not letting me
weirdo.
talk. So either you're afraid to have me say something, or you what?
Holy cow!
Just let me
What are you
ask
trying
you a
to-
question.
Say it.
Well,
Say it.
okay, lady, I don't know who the fuck you think you're talking to, but your drug-induced bullshit is I'm not intimidated by you. You already look like a complete fucking idiot, and I'm trying to have you save some face.
Oh, yeah.
You never met Trump in your life.
Oh, really?
You're a fucking liar.
Oh, okay.
No, you're a fucking liar.
Okay. That makes you feel
me
better.
you want
That
me to
makes
you
you
want me
feel
to you want me
better?
to you want me to prove you wrong?
Well, please prove it to me. That
Great.
I never,
Now
I never met the man.
let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Of the wedding? Do you think think I'm
Sure,
making
I
up
want to
the
see them
wedding?
right
You
now.
think
I want to see the pictures of you with Donald Trump at his wedding right now. Yes.
his
Go get 'em.
wedding? I said my father got married there. Like,
Show me a
listen,
picture with you and Donald Trump at a wedding. I'm waiting. I'll go show it to me right now.
Oh, really? I might even have pictures of them in the dressing room.
Great.
Like,
Show
are
me.
you looking
Show
for
me
a
those
scoop?
pictures.
Like,
Show me those
you
pictures.
really are like really talking to a 13-year-old. You
No, I'm
asked
not
me
talking. No,
to
why?
call
Because
you
I'm asking for
because we
facts.
misinterpreted each other.
No. You
misinterpreted each other in the
misinterpreted,
chat.
lady, because I never said he raped E. Jean Carroll, and I never said it was feasible. What I said, and if you want to have the conversation, we can do that. What I simply said was the following: that if you believe that Donald Trump wasn't a philanderer and wasn't a playboy, and there is absolutely no possible way that he,
Totally agree. Totally agree.
then shut the fuck up because you're wrong. Because I know that's what I said. Now you agree with me?
Wow. No.
Yeah,
I agree
wow.
with you. The problem is I agreed from you from the beginning. The only thing I argued with you is you said this. It's totally.
Why would I
feasible
say
that this
it's
could have happened.
completely? Why did I say there's no way he raped her, and then I would backtrack that and say something completely different? How can you possibly come up with that conclusion?
I hear you. The way that look, I could be wrong, but the way this whole thing started was the discussion about his case, and then you said something like it's totally feasible that he could be that because he's a piece of shit and he's garbage. And I'm like, I agree with you 1,000%.
I never said he was a piece of shit and he was garbage. Those words never escaped. You're not going to lie on me, lady.
I wrote that. I'm telling you, I agreed with you, and I said, but it's not feasible because the fact of the matter is it's not feasible, not for the reason that you said it. I was agreeing with you, and that's what's so obnoxious about this. So I was agreeing with you. I'm like, it's totally.
Wow, with
Holy
friends
cow.
like you, who needs enemas?
Exactly.
I
the show is really, really degenerated. Like you guys, you're rude to people, and you
Well,
start.
wait, I'm not rude. You called me a
You
dick.
play the show
Okay.
back. And
Can I
see how
say something?
You react.
You called me a. You started freaking saying shit I didn't say, and I'm rude. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
I
so
told you.
you're
Because
gonna
you started
sit
calling
here and
me
say that I said things that I didn't say,
Right. Look,
and I'm rude. So
play the
let me
show
get this
back.
straight.
We'll edit it
This
for
is
your
like
own
arguing
purpose.
with our
It makes you feel better if you edit
13-year-old.
it.
It's worse than
You
that.
started calling me names.
She won't
Look,
shut
you
up.
started
called
calling
you-
me
I-
names. It wasn't the other way around. Whatever.
Okay.
Whatever makes you feel good.
You're the victim.
Whatever makes you feel good.
You're the victim.
I think
No,
you
I don't
and
give a
Dino
shit.
would get along
No.
famously. You should go look her up.
I don't know why you're so angry. You're
I'm
raising
not
your
angry. You
voice.
just don't let me finish. You're just trying to harass me.
It's because you
instead of
lied.
actually-
It's because you won't stop talking.
You lied. You're lying. You're saying I said things I didn't say. So I'm. You know what? Here, watch this. No. Take a deep breath. I apologize if I've made. No, stop that. Hold on. Let me just get it out. I apologize if I've made you upset. If I've been rude to you, here, say whatever you want to say. Watch. Go. It's yours. I'm putting the mic away. There you go.
Oh, my phone's gonna die. I don't even. I am so overwhelmed by like how incredible you have changed the whole script here. When you play back the show, you will see that you saw the comment and you're like, it's totally feasible. What do you mean? What are you crazy? Blah blah blah. And you went off the whole thing. And then when I'm typing something, you're like, this woman's like, she's got to be a dumb blonde. She's got to be a conspiracy. What does she believe? And some guy wrote conspiracy, and you're like, yeah, whatever it was. I don't even care. But you were very degrading. So that's why I said, oh, wow, you're being really, really a dick. You have a show that I was following for a long while, probably all the way back to the pandemic. And you're here in 5 minutes, you're just calling me all kinds of names. You can say that I lied. I don't know what the hell you think I'm lying about, but I didn't lie, and I think you're rude, and that I stand by. And if I call you a dick, it's because you called me a lot of things before, and if you don't want to believe it, I don't care. Play the show back. I don't care. So
Okay.
whatever. So
You good?
Have a nice show. I'm already unfollowed.
No. Whoa. I don't get to respond. I don't get to respond.
There's no reason for you to respond because you're rude and you want to just make fun of me some more and say
I'm
like,
not going to make fun of you.
misunderstood
Listen,
and
you're doing a very good job of doing that yourself. You don't need my help.
No, I don't lie. I don't lie, mister.
Well,
And
you
I
said
don't
that
make up
you
stuff.
said okay. You said that I said that Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll. You didn't say
I did
that?
not say that.
Great. Well, then let's go back into chat and let's take a look. How about that?
Please do. Please do. I
Sure.
can't go back because I'm not taking.
Oh my God. What an equivocation. But stop. You know, there's an ideal playlist. That's just scary. Wait. You said it was okay if I read it back.
I don't have a problem with that. I said I can't.
Okay, great. Then let me read it to everybody. Totally, because I want to make sure I read it to all my viewers that can't see. Totally not feasible about Trump. The woman was part of a Democrat party. Her attorneys were paid by others to do it. To do what exactly?
Right.
To accuse him of rape.
Correct.
Right.
I agree with,
So who are you talking to there? Who were you talking to?
I was talking to you because you said this is totally feasible. Like it was so feasible that this whole case was feasible. And I'm saying it was a waste of court time. It was a waste of our money. It was a waste of everything. It's not feasible. It's not feasible.
We didn't have to
do
pay
what the
anything
guy-
for E. Jean Carroll. It was a civil case. We didn't have to pay anything for it. Wasn't paid by U.S. taxpayer.
Okay, well, you think civil court? Okay, I guess civil court is free for everybody. We don't. They don't.
Well, it's not free for everybody, but it's actually there's actually a charge that's done by the court itself that's actually applied to whatever the. Am I what?
I mean, you with me, it's a waste of time. I said you agree with me. It's a waste of American time. It's ridiculous.
Then you say, dude, I met him in the 90s. He's gross, but F you, he did not need to rape her. Who are you talking to there? Because it sounds like you're saying that. I was saying, you said I didn't say that, but that's what you just said. I just showed everybody. So who are you talking to here when it says, dude, I met him in the 90s. He's gross, but fuck you, he didn't need to rape her? Because I hadn't said anything. I haven't said anything at this point about you. What I was saying was, if you listen carefully and use the recollection that I know you have, I said, hey, is she talking to me? Who's she talking to? I don't want to go off on her if she's talking to somebody else. And then, lady, I hadn't said anything to you yet because then you followed up with this. And this is when I started getting hostile. You say, no, I was definitely talking to you. So you had already told me to fuck off, and you had already told me twice that I had said that Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll. So let me explain something what just took place. You just got fucking embarrassed. You just got embarrassed. You got embarrassed. I hadn't said shit to you at that point. I was actually asking if you were talking to me. You, lady, I don't need to go back and play it. I know what I said.
Okay, well, that's good for you.
So congratulations. Are you done now? Is your temper tantrum over? Do you need some fucking Kleenex?
No, I'm not. I don't have a problem with this at all. I think you just
okay.
don't.
Well, you should, because
I don't think you ever see.
I don't think facts are degrading. I don't think facts are degrading. I'm sorry. I think what you did is degrading. Calling me a liar, calling me a dick, telling me to fuck off, and telling me I said two things that I didn't say, and then throwing a temper tantrum when I call you out on it.
If you don't re-edit it, you will see how nasty you were.
I don't re-edit anything. Why should I? I just proved it to you.
Responding to text as if there was no audio. I love how you're talking about text as if you weren't speaking at the time.
Well, would you like me to stop the show and edit it for you? We can do that posthumously, but I can't do that in the middle.
No, that's not what I'm saying. And stop trying to be a jackass about it. I mean,
I'm not being a jackass. Once again, I understand facts hurt your feelings.
I said, if you go back and you don't edit it and you want to see for what it really was, you're not taking
everybody knows. I just told them because everyone remembers what was said. I said it verbatim. What happened? Did I insult you before you went ahead and said, I'm definitely talking to you? Or was I saying, is she talking to me? Hey, I don't want to go off on her if she's not talking to me. Is that what was said? Great. Then I didn't say anything negative. You told me to fuck off. And then you said I said that he raped her twice.
You definitely said something, Mr. Like,
no, I didn't. How could I have? Because I didn't. I said I didn't want to go off on you.
No, you just want to go off on me now because
I do because you're lying and you've insulted me multiple times.
What you're not getting is there was text and audio at the same time, and you're making it sound like I just went off on. I didn't go off on.
I'm the one recording it. Of course I know.
Wait.
Hold on.
Okay, for starters, I'm really losing my patience with you, lady. Really.
It's okay. Really. I don't need to be.
And the only you sound like you're freaking high in helium right now. I don't understand what the high-pitched voice is. It's like you're freaking out. You sound like our 13-year-old who's just been caught in a lie, who's trying to get out of this lie. And you're really annoying right now. And I really regret telling you to call in because I really wanted to get off at a decent time tonight.
Listen, I'm going to sit here and say I absolutely insulted you. There's no doubt about it. I called you a drug addict. I also called you a bitch. There's no doubt. posthumously after you had already insulted me multiple times. So I'm sorry if you want to go. Oh, she hung up. So if you want to go ahead and say that
Bummer. I'm so disappointed.
this is typical people who have no idea how to argue. Is you want to go ahead and set a bomb off and then you want to try to defuse it. That's not the way this works. I was completely fine. I was begging and saying, hey, is she talking to me? Amy, help me out. Olivia, help me out. I don't want, find out, please, because I don't want to go off on her. And, oh, no, I'm definitely talking to you is what she said. And I absolutely insulted her. And you know what? I was not far off. That is what manic, obsessive, compulsive people do. I've got nothing to apologize for.
JD's like, Olivia speaks and they all run. I don't think she wanted to argue with me. I'm not having it tonight.
I just don't have any desire to do that with people. And, you know, I even tried at one point to calm it down and just get her to stop. I have never ended the show with a caller like that. Ever. It's never been that way. We've had people cry on the show. We've had Veteran Crisis. We've called VCL together. We've had people who just were so hateful. And then we wound up having an accord. And I really wanted just to get her to say, you know what? I jumped the gun. And then immediately it would have diffused. But I'm not going to sit here and let somebody lie on me. I know what I said. I know what I didn't say. I have never said that Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll. The judge didn't even say he did. The jurors didn't even say he did. It's ridiculous. But we have never, ever had a caller go like that. That sucks. Wow.
And no, we didn't hang up on her. She did it herself.
I don't hang up on people. I'm not going to edit the video. Why would I? The only time I have deleted one live show ever, and that was last live show, because I felt that there was a very prescribed effort to push as many buttons as possible and make the show look as bad as humanly possible. I really felt like that took place. So if anybody wants her number, okay, I'm going to show one other thing. We got a lot of people on, so I got to show one more and then we're going to go. That's such a bummer. I hate when that happens. That sucks. What could I have done better, honey?
Nothing. We could have put the cat on camera and she would have been happy yelling at the cat, I think. I don't think there's any... I think she thought she was just going to call and ramble and ramble and ramble and ramble and ramble, that you were going to shut up and let her ramble. Well...
I don't want her to stop watching. I feel she's a longtime viewer. I feel horrible. Like, that's not what I want to happen. Oh, come on. I do. I don't want that to happen. I really don't. In fact, I wanted to apologize for calling her a bitch, but it's not a word I use. You know that. I don't like that word at all. But that's not the way it should be. Anyway, all right, I'll get over it. Luckily, I'm too shallow and weak-willed. Okay, this... You have to watch this, Liv. This is absolutely... Tim goes, that was your threesome. We already checked that box. We're okay.
Jesus Christ, Matthew. Seriously?
I'm kidding. All right. So...
only with Ryan Reynolds.
That's true. So... yeah, but I didn't want her to feel that way. I really did. I seriously, I don't like making people feel bad. She's pissed. She's horribly upset. And that's not... There's no reason for that. This is a... it should have just been, hey, we disagree. We made, whatever, but yeah, whatever. All right, here it is. So, Richard, I don't ramble. I'm on a talk show. Richard, you're just annoying me tonight. This isn't the time, dude. Don't poke me right now. I'm not in the mood.
Neither am I.
Not in the fucking mood, bro.
Hey, Dick.
We're not friends, man. We're not friends. I'm not going to give you anything. Let's go ahead and play this. We've got a Democrat-funded video that is probably one of the most ridiculous, horrible acting. The kid in it, you may recognize the actor. He was in something and is a B-list actor now. But want you to watch this and tell me what you think. Here it is.
Wrong is just wrong. You know it when you see it.
But it's by Toni Morrison. She won a Nobel Prize for literature.
We know better.
We know better. Some ignorant hick is. That's not Toni Morrison. That's Marie Antoinette. Nah, nope. I know that book, and we know better. Evil.
But it's hard to know what to do. Easier to let it go. So you just kick the can down the road.
Please, I didn't do anything wrong. It was a miscarriage.
It's for the courts to decide, man.
Wrong is wrong. But what can you do?
They want you to think.
Wasn't he in Hunger Games or something like that? I know this guy's face.
No,
I can't remember what he was
Slavery
in.
was all bad, but slaves learned valuable skills, like being a blacksmith.
That's racist and a lie.
It's in the school curriculum, endorsed by our fine governor.
It's ridiculous. What are you doing? Let go of me. Stop pushing me.
Politicians who lie are manipulating you so they can gain or maintain power, turning families and friends against each other and often leading to violence. Surely you have to do something about that, don't you? Because if you keep kicking the can down the road, eventually you run out of road.
Jews will not replace us! One people, one nation, and immigration, blood and soil!
Stop! Those are racist and Nazi slogans. Just stop!
Haven't I seen you around town holding hands with another man?
It's none of your business.
My God.
I disagree.
Jews will not replace
Please.
one people,
This is America!
one nation, and immigration, blood and soil!
Help stop MAGA Republican fascism before it's too late. Because the MAGA Republican vision of America is anti-American. Protect your freedom.
Oh my God, that's the funniest thing I've seen all year.
You think I'm serious? You think I'm kidding? This shit is real. This is missiondemocracy.org.
Oh my God, this is hilarious. It needs to be up for comedy of the year because it's the funniest thing I've seen in a long time.
Somebody ban Mary
God.
Drolik. Mary Drolik needs to be banned. Real quick, please. Get her out of here.
Yep.
There's her picture. Get her banned out of here. She's a troll. Dude, I don't
got it.
I don't know what to say. He wasn't in the Hunger Games. I know this kid. He was a young kid. I know his face. I've seen him in movies, and I can't remember where I've saw. And it'll come to me tonight at like 3 a.m, and I'll wake up Olivia like, baby. I remember where he's from. Dude, I can't. Okay, Richard, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Just do me a favor. Whenever, just don't fucking push the buttons, dude. Okay.
What do you say now?
I've got a guy that used to do that. His name was Chav, and I won't tolerate another Chav on this page. So I don't need it, dude. This job's hard enough. I gotta get it from my own family, and then I gotta get it from listeners. I got enough. I just don't need it, dude. So just enjoy the show. We don't need a relationship like that. You don't need to combat with me. If you think that I don't move fast enough or you want to insult, I don't give a fuck, dude. Just watch the show. Okay, great. Missiondemocracy.org. I guess I'm going to address each point real quick. First of all, book bans raising rapidly in U.S. free speech group fines. There has not been one book banned in the United States outside of the Anarchist Cookbook and a couple of others that have been deemed absolutely dangerous because it teaches people how to do horrible things. You might see, obviously, pedophilia and certain levels of pornography that are banned and stricken, or tips on sex trafficking, or links to dark web. Oh, yeah, of course that shit. That's not censorship. You're not banning a book if you simply tell kids, hey, you're not going to have access to this. We're not going to let you have access to this. Just like cigarettes, just like porn, just like Grand Theft Auto. You're going to have it when you're an adult and can make the right decision. And if you think that liberals haven't done the exact same thing. To Kill a Mockingbird is not allowed in certain California schools. There are plenty. Tom Sawyer was banned by Democrats in several different schools because of the N-word that's in it and the references to not N-I-G-G, but N-E-G-R-O. There are things that people have said they're not suitable for children. That's not banning. You're not stopping the sale. You can access these books. You can still get these books. It's not like Dr. Seuss where they completely made it where you can't even buy them anymore. It's insane.
But it's
this one.
Please, I didn't do anything wrong. It was a miscarriage.
It's for the courts to decide, ma'am.
Thank you, one clear. Hi, it's code for 148 North St. Avenue.
wrong.
Okay, this isn't true. It's not true in the slightest. A miscarriage is completely something that happens in pregnancies. It's 1 out of 3 pregnancies within the first few weeks of a pregnancy that you see this. It is a terrible and emotional time, and there is nobody who wants to put a woman through legal ramifications for miscarrying a child. There's only one party that wants to limit the growth of this country and the family unit, and it's not us. We want to have as many babies as possible. We want the family unit to be strong. We want big families. It's completely antithetical to what conservatives truly think. And to assume that we're going to celebrate a miscarriage. Liv, your thoughts?
Like I said, funniest thing I've seen in a real long time. The entire thing is full of shit. It's like the Democrats, they love to point fingers at other people and say you're doing this, but it's the exact thing they're doing. So they're trying to get the blame and the eyes off of them and trying to focus it on somebody else and say they're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Democrats remind me of the schoolyard bully.
And shouldn't he be recycling this can?
I know.
If he's a
What's
real
up with
liberal.
kicking the can?
I mean, seriously, dude, you need to be recycling that shit. God, where is he? What? He was just a kid, and I can't remember the movie.
Let me see his face.
Same hair and everything, more blonde, no beard. I'll figure it out. You know, I'll remember.
What's the? I can look up.
Democracy Now! Is what it is. So this is the one that really is just. This is where it just goes off the rails.
Valuable skills, like being a blacksmith.
That's racist and a lie.
It's in the school curriculum, endorsed by.
I just love this guy walking up in the fishing vest. Hold on. Yeah, he's got a fishing vest, and it may very well. No, it's not even a skeet vest. It's a fishing vest. I mean. What? Come on. Really?
Our fine governor.
It's ridiculous. What are you doing? Let go of me. Stop pushing me.
New Florida teaching standards say African Americans receive some personal benefit from slavery. It's not what they said. In fact, nothing like that was said in any way, shape, or form. What it said is to assume that the African American people who did trades like blacksmithing, horseshoeing, plowsharing, agriculture, irrigation, building homes, whatever it would be, use that skill set to advance themselves into paid labor faster than other European countries, faster than other major slave countries. And that the African American people prospered outside of slavery. It's not a lie. It's not saying slavery is good. It's not saying slavery in any way, shape, or form benefited anybody. What it's saying is that a people who went through incredibly horrific times used it to the best of their ability to prosper in America and do amazing things. I don't understand, because if we're assuming there were no hardships before success for anybody, well, then now you're really selling the socialist playbook that everyone's equal and equal distribution and equity is equal outcome, when there's no such thing. But to sit here and call out Florida for this is ridiculous, because anybody who knows anything understands that assimilation into even the most horrific things, something can be learned. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it's saying. I love the flowers.
One people, one nation, end immigration, one soil. Stop!
Do you know they said end immigration? You mean illegal immigration, right? I mean, they always forget that word. It's like for the educated party, they forget this word. It's always so convenient.
Those are racist and Nazi slogans. Just stop.
Haven't I seen you around town holding hands with another man?
Did you forget to recycle?
That's none of your business.
I disagree.
Jews will not replace one people,
This is America.
one nation.
Republican Congressman Paul Gossard's newsletter features a website that calls for readers to stand up for Hitler. It's not what it says. It's not what it says at all. It's actually conveying a message about fascism and censorship and silence coming from the left. And the article runs a parody and shows a shield and a saying underneath that says stand up for Hitler. And it's pointing directly at what the Democrats are ultimately doing, standing up for censorship and fascism and silencing people and having the FBI investigate people and calling Olivia and I domestic terrorists. This is what they're talking about. And because it was on top of their newsletter, they twist it. This is what they do. First of all, I could make a better movie with my iPhone. It's horrible.
Immigration, one soil.
Help stop MAGA Republican fascism before it's too late. Because the MAGA Republican vision of America is anti-American. Protect your freedom and our
I'm so
democracy.
glad that guy
by
is doing so well acting. And
Mission Democracy is what it is.
yeah, I'll find out who the actor is. I saw him in something stupid. It was a TV show or something. But this is the problem. Olivia, I'm going to give you a minute. Just get your thoughts on this, and then we got to go. Do we see ourselves coming back from this? I mean, there is a very real effort to malign Republicans with Nazis. And
it just blows my mind how I don't understand how they can say that Republicans are like Nazis. Do they not understand who the Nazis were and what they did? Because I don't think the Republicans are out there murdering people.
Well,
because of their race.
This is just the beginning. This is the gold star phase and throwing them into slums and cutting their hair and throwing shit at them as they walk by. Folks, go look at Republican rallies. This shit it doesn't happen. This whole thing that you think that J6 and Republicans are synonymous, most Republicans are just embarrassed by J6 as anybody is. Most of us think it was completely stupid. And I just don't understand. I watched that video and I'm trying really hard that they see that that's what the Nazis did. The Nazis took a group of people based upon their religious ideology, and now they're taking a group of political ideology and saying that they're evil, that they're the reason why things are bad. There's a reason why African Americans are poor is not because of Democrat policy, but it's because of the Jew, or it's because of the Republican. This is what's being said. And this is what they did with South revisionist history with the Daughters of the Confederacy. This is how they turned that somehow that the Republicans are the party of racism and talked about the great party switch that didn't fucking happen. This is the party that sold that we were members of the KKK and that we didn't believe in civil rights and we put Japanese people in internment camps, that we run the modern day slave plantations in the inner city. I'm not going to sit here and blame Democrats for everything that goes wrong with minorities in this country, but for damn sure, you're not going to fucking blame me for it. You're not going to blame my party for it. I just know that more Hispanics and more blacks than ever are opening their eyes to Democratic woes, and they understand what the policies are and how bad they are, because by the droves, Hispanics and African Americans are coming back to the Republican Party, at least as they did during Reagan. And I just hope that we have the right candidate who can actually win up there, because this shit's got to stop. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Olivia, you want to wrap it up?
Oh, I don't know. It just blows my mind that people think we are the party of racism and we're the party of violence and that we're like Nazis. I don't get it. I don't understand. It was a Democratic president that started the division in this country. And I don't remember it being so divisive before Obama. And it's not recovering, and it's just getting worse.
It wasn't under Bush. That's the thing. Bush, they didn't like Bush because, of the war.
Yeah, but they didn't blame Republicans, and they didn't say Republicans are evil and we're horrible people because Bush was a Republican. The divisiveness, whatever, started under Obama. And that's when it started, and that's when the country started hating other people because of their political ideology. And it was a Democratic president that started it. So just dumb.
Yeah. We've got a lot of work to do, and we'll continue to do it. I hope I don't wish ill on anybody. And I'm just going to say one thing. I have seen that rage in my mom. Can you call in? Yeah, you can call in. Carrie Kalaf? Yeah, you can call in. We've got a few minutes. There you go. Call in. Yeah, but I don't want anyone ever to be like that. And Catherine, right? Catherine? Mm-hmm. I wish her the best. I wish her peace. She seems very upset. Maybe she's upset because I mistook what she said. I don't feel I did. I feel, yeah. Kyrie, I pronounced that correctly. All right, you can call in, man, if you want to. You got to call in now, though. Hurry up. All you got to do is click that link. So Kyrie Kalaf. Or is it Calef? It's Kalaf. Violence in 2009 is because of Democrats. If you click that link, you can call in real quick. We got a few minutes. And if not, we'll have to catch you. When are we going to be on next Wednesday? Tomorrow. We got baseball?
No, it's in too far away, so we're not going.
Okay, so Mark Davis says, you people are full of shit. What do you mean by you people? I'm kidding. People were mad a black man got elected before he even took office. We voted for him. What are you talking about? Do you know how many white people voted for Barack Obama? Were you not aware of the election? Did you not stick around for that? I've got another caller, man. You can call in if you want to talk about it, but I think you're completely not only wrong, but ill-informed. I don't think you know what you're talking about. I wasn't mad that Barack Obama won the election. I was mad at how he acted after he won the election. And his first term did not bother me as much as his second term did. So, but you're already cussing and you're already melting down. All right, man. What do you want to talk about? Good to see you here. This is Olivia. My name's Matt. And Kyrie, it's wonderful to have you on the show, man. Where are you from?
Sacramento, California. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, man. I can hear you fine. Thanks. Good to meet you. What do you want to talk about?
So I heard you say something to the effect of when you said that it hasn't been this divisive since the Obama administration. That
was my wife. That was my wife who said that.
Oh, that was okay. Either way, I wanted to push back on that a little bit, only because I had noticed, in the 90s, if you remember the LA riots, out in LA. If the racial tension that they had down there was just, the same as what you would probably compare to in, let's say, 2020 during the pandemic.
Yep.
When you say there's some kind of strong similarities in those two events, or are they different, or is one more extreme than the other? What do you think about that?
I think it's a great point, and I don't agree with my wife on this, that it started with Obama. We've had that argument. I believe racial division was at its focal point when they took John F. Kennedy away from us. I think the assassination of John F. Kennedy became moral depravity, became the norm. Skepticism became the norm. However, I do believe, honestly, that Barack Obama facilitated the Saul Alinsky playbook, something that Democrats predominantly since the 70s and the movement of Saul Alinsky and socialism and progressivism in academia. He was the first president to truly stand up and take it that way. He had the backing of the LGBTQ community, who he did not support. Hillary Clinton and the Democrats did not support. They abandoned the LGBTQ community as late as 2010. Barack Obama found a way to take the Saul Alinsky playbook and take division in America and use those steps to criminalize the police force, to create skepticism in the government, to use that government as a weapon against the American people with his spying. And I think a lot of that division, this distrust, was America pushing back against not each other and not against the color of our skin, but pushing back against the government. And then in the second term, it was turned against the police force, and it was turned against that I'm trying to create hope in America, and I'm trying to create balance in America, and we need to get the guns, and we need to do this, and started insulting religion and the Bible. These are gun grabbing, Bible grab, whatever, all the bullshit he said. And I think that created a lot of resentment, not only to government, but I will concede your point that it did become racial. Epitaphs and focus on the color of his skin was why he was doing this. And I think that was horrible. And I think where the Republicans were wrong is bringing in Islam and Sharia law and the Tea Party patriots who said that, Muslims are going to come in here and take over the United States, which was complete bullshit. And I despised my party for doing that. And then calling him a Muslim. And so that regenerated that racial discrimination was almost acceptable again. And then I think the natural progression was to make it a black and white thing or a have and have not thing. So that's a really long answer to your question, but I hope that satisfied your question.
No, that absolutely did. And I wanted to also bring a point about what you mentioned with the Tea Party. I think that was important to bring up because there was that aspect of anti-Islam within that particular era. But I will say that the way that you describe right now how the left is making you guys look like Nazis or this and that, I also think there's also a rise in alliance between the right and Muslims. And I find myself now as somebody who sort of consider himself as a conservative Muslim, I find myself aligned with a lot of people that are within the right, just based on, let's say, name any random topic, what they teach you in schools and things of that nature. So, yeah, I think that there's a difference in shift in that during the Tea Party era. What do you think about that particular?
Yeah, I think the Paul Ryan and the Michelle Bachmans were dangerous to the Republican Party. They're not Republicans. They're not conservatives in any way, shape, or form. I don't have far right principles. I've never been far right. I've always been socially fairly liberal. When it comes to my kids, though, that's completely different. You might even consider me to be an extremist when it comes to protecting them from outside influence on their sexuality or racial diversity in the country. And I want them to accept everybody equally, and I don't want them to be thinking about that type of stuff. So very much like the Muslim people, the children are really where I draw the line. So you and I are the same, and I pronounce it correctly, and there's a reason why. I've spent a lot of time overseas and working with people from the Muslim religion. I understand that it's the largest group of people on the planet, that they are some of the kindest, most loving people I've ever met in my life. And there's also an extreme element inside the religion and the race of people, which I think it crosses a line between being a religion and the race at the same time, even though some people will say that it's not. It's very much like the Jewish culture. very much they assimilate to their religion and their identity the
You know
same.
what? I think you would be correct if, let's say, you are using that within the context of the UK, for example, which is a
Yeah.
predominant
Yep.
Pakistani population, as
Yep.
opposed to, let's say, if you were to go to a Muslim population in France, it would be more predominantly North African or something
Right.
to that
Totally
extent.
two different. Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's
That
kind of,
is good.
if you're familiar with this English guy, his name is Tommy Robinson. I don't know if you're familiar, and he's sort of
I'm
an
not.
activist. Okay, so a little brief on him. He was the leader of the EDL, which is stands for the English Defense League. He was
Yep.
a leader back in 2004. He started out as like an anti-Islamic group, but then eventually a lot of neo-Nazis started infiltrating the group and eventually drove him out of the group. And then he just started his own, English conservative movement and whatnot. But the reason why I brought him up was because he's kind of an example of somebody um, that sort of uh, clusters race and into religion, meaning that like he has this campaign that he has going on with anti-grooming gangs in the UK, right? Which fair enough is reasonable, right? You know, you want to protect the kids, you want to protect the innocent and whatnot. So these are all these are all noble causes. The problem is he's criticized for attaching, let's say, a race and a religion at the same time, whereas unfortunately maybe the predominant actions of the groups that are doing this are maybe British Pakistani men, as opposed to, let's say, maybe white men or other groups that are doing
Right.
that in that part of the world.
It's interesting you say that. So if I could segue off of my original thought and course correct, I believe the perception from a U.S. and Western perspective is that race and religion are so closely intertwined in other cultures that we don't recognize that we are the same way. And in a lot of ways that inherently we believe Christianity is a white religion. And a lot of Christians may not go ahead and admit that, but many probably would. I believe it has created separation from the standpoint where if you look at the left, which is in my opinion, it's all about collectivism. It's all about the majority. And conservatism is all about the minority and the individual rights and liberties through the republic. I think a lot of people don't recognize is that religion can sometimes alienate certain groups because Christians believe, well, we're all inclusive and we believe in open arms and bring everyone into the fold. Well, that may be the belief, but some of the verbiage is antithetical to that. I think you find that in the Muslim religion. I think you find that in
Sure.
Judaism and most religions.
Even though it's
The-
not
well,
allowed.
let me wrap up one more thing. And I think with Barack Obama, the reason why Olivia, and I don't want to speak for her and I'd love for her to chime in, but I think Barack Obama spoke out of both sides of his mouth and said one thing and conveyed about Christianity and conveyed about, religious freedom of all and everyone being equal and everything else, but had a very different way that he treated Muslim extremism and how he wouldn't acknowledge it and how he wouldn't say certain things, even changing the name of ISIL and using the North African prescription of ISIS and changing the way he would say things. It created a separation that almost put Christianity on a lower rung to the Muslim religion because he would insult Christians on an everyday basis with the way that he spoke and how he spoke about Christians. So I think it wasn't just to surmise, I don't think it was just racial diversity that was the issue or creating separation racially. I think the religion was, and naturally the progression was because people associate their religion with their race, that you saw the race follow. Do you think that we are ahead of where Europe is because we are so fresh from slavery and so fresh from racism, and Europe obviously is further removed from these type of things, that we are in a better place? Or do you really think that we are kind of the epicenter of the next major civil war or the next major splintering of a predominant superpower based upon this turmoil we're having in our country?
Well, that's a great question. And the way that I would answer that is I would say that Europe, in and of itself, has better race relations, although the division I would say, is probably predominantly towards the religious aspect of it. Right. Like I think that this is my experience from understanding how people are in the UK, or what I've seen from them. They seem a lot less concerned about racial elements. Of course, you'll find that here in America as well. You will find many of that even in California, surprisingly enough, even though a lot of, let's say, the media will depict it as, a highly racially divided state and whatnot. But then when you're on the ground, and if you work around here, or if you live around here, that's probably not what you would see most of the time. You might see it once in a while, but not at a rapid rate in the way that, let's say, the media would depict it. Now, I would say that here in America, I think there would probably be less chances of a civil war in comparison to, let's say, Europe. You look at Europe, they're having riots almost every week, depending on whatever random situation goes on. I mean, we have that here too, but I also think that America is so affluent in a way that it would be very difficult for people to want to rise up for anything.
Yes, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Such a great point. I think we also have too much compassion for each other, even though we pretend that we don't. I think Americans love Americans, and I think if a 9/11 happened tomorrow, a lot of people say, "Well, we wouldn't join together." I disagree. I don't. I think that we're going around on the opposite sides of the barn, and just because we're out of sight, at times we get out of mind. But in the end, I think we have to come full circle. The United States has been in more trepidatious and incoherent times than this. I think a lot of people don't read their history. What makes me fearful is that we lose who we are in the process. And I think that's my biggest fear right now, is that at the sacrifice of a group of people who feel that inclusivity and equity truly are the most paramount and most dangerous things that have to take place for a society to move forward, where there is another group and another half of people who believe that standardism and consistency and the tried and true things that we've been known for as a country and what's made us successful in such a short time are really where we need to stand firm. And somehow I think we're going to lose both of those things if we're not careful. What's the one thing about California right now? Because I'm from California. We both know a lot about it, and I grew up there. I've lived 25 years of my life in Cali. What do you think the one thing about California where they can't see the forest through the trees, they can't really see what California is and how it's continuing to move to progressivism, it's continuing to move to a tax and spend philosophy, that ultimately the overall value of the state is really that it's turning into a state run its own country. It's not prosperous. It's not growing. It's shrinking. The infrastructure is shrinking. The amount of money and revenue that they're taking in is being spent on programs that it can't afford and sustain. Where do you think California ends up in the next 15 years? Does it move to Republican? Does it move to a middle center? Where do you see it going?
In all honesty, I'm probably not the most qualified political science to answer this, but I will make a prediction on the fact that it would probably stay the same, only because of how strong the left-wing agenda is here in terms of the schools and in terms of the universities. I can tell you there's guys that graduate, because I graduated in Sac State, right? And I can tell you there's a lot of guys that, during graduation, they would say something to the effect of like, oh, well, now we can say all these things or this and that, like make jokes about, let's say, Andrew Tate-esque type of jokes, or, this and that, or something that is within the spectrum of, let's say, right-leaning or Trump supporting of any kind of way. They would sort of hold themselves back from trying to have these conversations. And then on graduation day, I would just hear a few guys say something to the effect of like, yeah, we can just say whatever we want now because we're not under them. So that right there just kind of stuck to my mind and thought that, this is the quintessential control that they have of institutions. And so if you're asking for a time frame, And if you're saying within 15 years, I just don't see how that would change. Maybe just a slight bit, maybe a slight bit of pushback. But ultimately, I think that in order for anything to change, it would have to be so bad enough that they would have to go with the alternative, which is the right, other than what they already have going on. So yeah, that's how I see the next 15 years.
We're going to go here in a minute. I just have one question. Do you think Donald Trump can win in 2024?
In all honesty, I'm going to say no, not because I don't want that to happen. I'm going to say no only because of just how strong the media's influence is on this whole entire situation. Like the way they're making Trump out to be, it's like as if he's an absolute criminal. So it's like, how do you defeat that with the minds of the normies that just don't really think, that don't really have a critical thinking aspect of how they look at the world, right? They just look at the news, they're being fed these things. So it's like, oh, okay, so Trump's a criminal, so I guess maybe we're not going to vote for him. So maybe somewhere down the road, the middle of the road people would probably lean away from him just based on the overwhelming influence of the news. So, yeah, that's my official prediction on that. Oh, and one more thing.
Yeah.
Official prediction. If you guys love MMA, come check me out on YouTube under the same name.
Don't, dude. Well, I'll throw you up on the site. We'll get you taken care of. How's your following over on YouTube?
Right now, I'm at 87 followers. So I kind of just started it like a few weeks ago.
I'll take care of you.
Awesome.
Are you on Facebook? Are you on Facebook too?
No. Just on YouTube, but obviously I have my own.
Get on Facebook. It's a great feed for you, and I can throw you a lot of love. Do me a favor, owner@don'tunfriendme.com. Send me your info, send me your tags, and I'll make sure I throw it up there, and I'll cut this clip, and we'll get you some viewers.
How'd you find the show?
Yeah.
Just on YouTube, I'm sorry, not YouTube, Facebook, obviously, but like I said, right? There's a lot of overwhelming Muslim support now for the right for the obvious reasons that you talk about in your show, and that's primarily what led me to your show. I guess was the algorithm was like, hey, listen to this guy. You might like what he has to say, and here I am.
Yeah. Well, man, what type of fighting style are you doing in MMA?
What type of fighting style? Oh, no, it's well, I did Muay Thai. I grew up doing wrestling, and then I've trained with Uriah Faber's gym out here in Sacramento. But I do like MMA shows, prediction shows. I do preview shows. Some of the top views that I had right now in my current videos, I made a video about Sean Strickland and his past as a former neo-Nazi in LA. Now he's the world champion. I talk about that. I talk about Conor McGregor and his antics in the news. I talk about fighter pay and the controversy that involves in that. I also add mixed martial arts and politics, because if you notice other sports, they don't like to talk about politics, right? But the one thing that I do love about mixed martial arts and the type of competitors that are involved in the sport is that a lot of them are tied to so much politics that you can't ignore it. For example, you look at the Chechnyan Russian fighters. A lot of these guys are tied to Ramzan Kadyrov. And how does that relate to the modern news cycle? Well, they're all involved in the Ukrainian conflict. And this is the reason why a lot of these guys have visa issues coming to compete in the United States. So I talk about those things as well. I also talk about the politics that go on in Africa and the Middle East as it relates to mixed martial arts and the wonderful world of combat sports.
Where's the next hotbed for the United States? Where for the entire world? We understand that North Africa was a huge power play. 80s with Gaddafi. We know that the 90s were predominantly Middle East and oil. We know Balkan region. We understand what's going on with Ukraine right now. Where's your thoughts? Where's the next continent? I just want to pick your brain on that. Where do you think the next hotbed is going to be in the world?
Do you mean in terms of world conflict, or you mean in terms of the mixed martial arts?
No, market? I meant conflict.
Oh, okay. Oh, off top, I think that would be Africa.
Okay,
Off
you and I.
top, yeah.
So that's okay. You already qualify. So how old are you?
What was that?
How old are you?
I'm 38, sir.
Well, call me sir. Call me Matt. So, Kyrie, I want to extend an open invitation for you to come on the show whenever you want to.
Oh man, thank you so much, bro. That's, oh my God, that is awesome. Mashallah, brother. Thank you.
I would appreciate it, and the reason why is because you offer a very good perspective. That's the breadth of knowledge that you have is extensive, and I like that because you're able to make finer points, but understanding that you have worldly viewpoints. You also have hindsight into several different topics, and the fact that you're able to, and forward thinking into several different topics. The fact that you're able to identify Africa as the next big hot point for the world. I've been saying that for a while. A lot of people on here are going, holy shit. So there's just little things, but we would love to have you on. I enjoyed our conversation immensely. I know I can learn a lot from you. So anytime you want to come on, please, it's an open invitation. Never ask permission. You can come on anytime.
Oh my God, brother. I'm so honored. Thank you so much, man. That was great. And by the way, I was entertained with that little conflict and that little beef you had going on with the blonde one earlier. You know, that was quite entertaining. You know, that was like UFC press conference worthy.
Yeah, listen. There's something I've tried to tell people, and they don't seem to understand. Where I came from, mother was half a word, and I have no problem getting down in the muck. And if you want to sling insults and you want to have a screaming match, I'm more than acquiesce to your request. But if you also want to have a casual conversation, but the one thing I'll give you one compliment, then I'm going to go and pop smoke, is the nervousness that you had when you first came on. Dropped off very quickly. So that's a good sign. And I usually watch people. Leroy was that way. Amy was that way, who are my co-hosts outside of Olivia. So the fact that you were able to get comfortable very quick is a good sign. So I'd love to have you on anytime. Love to have you. Just let me know and you can come on. Cool?
Awesome, man. I'd be more than happy to extend that invitation. Thank you.
All right, Kyrie. We'll talk to you soon. It was wonderful to meet you. Thanks, buddy.
You as well. Have a good one, man.
All right. Wow.
Ooh, he was awesome.
I love intellectuals. I like you want to get me, you know me. I love intellectuals. You give me a conversation like that, and that's the way a show should be. I wanted it to be that way.
He was so happy when you said he could come on again.
I think he should. I think he would make a great addition to the show.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
He's very smart, very articulate. Wasn't afraid to disagree, but also, I feel I try people out. So I did a lot of listening and asked a lot of poignant questions, and I noticed that he extended questions to me to get my opinion and wasn't just waiting to talk. So, I treat people how you treat me.
I like the fact that he was asking you questions and then he let you completely finish.
Yeah, both of us. I mean, when he said Africa, I was like, okay, you're in. It's like a job. That's how I job interview people. If they say the right thing, I'm like, okay, you're hired. In the middle, and they're like, what? Is it over? I'm like, yeah, it's over. It's you. You got the $1 million question, because for him to be able to, to be in California, to be in MMA, but realize from a world standpoint that Africa is going to be the next hotbed of America. In my opinion, that is the last sovereign country that truly is not, and it needs to be influenced, and it's an extreme resource and very dangerous, and the United States, Russia, China, Iran are all going for it. So I really liked him. He was a very smart guy.
I hope he sends you all his info.
I think he will. I think he was too excited not to. I can't imagine having all five of us together, because that was great. So
you, Leroy, and him. That'd be it.
I think you're.
That'd be a show that Amy and I will just go into the corner and talk about girly things.
I think you underestimated yourself. I thought tonight you showed up very well. I thought you were very poignant and very direct, and you started off with no reservations, and I think you ended it the same way. And the biggest compliment I can ever give you is that you know when to shut up, and that is a skill. And a lot of people don't know that skill. We found somebody tonight who had no idea what that skill was. But to know, hey, this is not my conversation. I'm going to Charlie Mike. I'm getting out of this one. I'm popping smoke. I'm going to hold back and listen, keep my powder dry until I can. I don't know how many more euphemisms I have, but you keep your powder dry until you need to use it, and that's a sign of a smart person, folks. Thanks
I married you, so I must have done something right, huh?
Yeah, Ian says, is Africa going to be after Pacific, Taiwan, and North Korea? No, I think it's in lieu of it. So, the Middle East relationship was established after WW2. And when we abandoned the gold reserves and using OPEC and using the oil standard for our currency, those relationships were being built with the Sauds and the Iranians and the Iraqis and other UAE and etc. in Egypt. So we were building relationships with these countries, even in WW2. I think Africa is going to be a very similar situation. The problem is that there's going to be plenty of land that's going to transfer hands, and it's going to be through military means. You'll see military bases be established, and you'll probably see the United States takes West Africa and other foreign countries and Asian influence and European influence, take East Africa and Northern Africa, and we'll take more probably a Southern and Northwestern exposure to Africa. But you will start seeing the United States investing into Africa and a lot of meetings and summits with Africa to establish dominance in that area. So I think that happens in lieu of whatever happens with North Korea, Taiwan, Russia, Ukraine. I consider that to be forward progress, and then ultimately a conflict through proxy will more than likely take hold, like it did in the Middle East, where we were being proxied through Russia and us and other countries. I see that in Africa, and that's over the next 50 years. So I think you're going to see a buildup, and then you're going to start seeing conflict through proxy in those areas, and as some of those provinces and those individual sections of Africa that will be fought for Central Africa, you're going to start seeing conflicts arise. And you'll see the locals do that, and you'll also probably see the United States and other superpowers influence those conflicts for instability and then ultimately to come in and nation build. So Africa is a very focused and concentrated line of sight for me, and I preach it as often as I can. We already have a lot of military in Africa too, but we don't need to go into that. It's another night. Folks, thanks for watching. That was a late show, but we owed it to you. I mean, we owed them, right? We owed them a late show.
We've missed quite a few shows, so.
We did. So, folks, we'll be back tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. It was a good show. And Chris,
it was worth staying on for that guy.
He was totally excellent. I hope he comes back. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hey, do me a favor. Go over to the Don't Unfriend Me store at thedumbshow.com. I cleaned it up a little bit tonight, and I've got a new shirt that I figured I could show you real quick, and then we're going to go. This is, you guys got to tell me what you think. Amy sent me this. It is the Joe and the Ho Gotta Go shirt. I'm going to put that up on the store. I've got a couple more designs coming. I've got a no compliant shirt, but this is going to be on sale tomorrow. So stop on by the dumbshow.com, save 10%. You can actually use code DUM10, DUM10 to get yourself. Ask the why I'm making that. I was trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do. So that'll be up tomorrow. Thanks for stopping by, folks. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys mañana.
Night, y'all.
Good night.
I'm David Boreanaz with the Cast of SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets.
We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important. You are important.
For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call.
Maybe you should call in if you're not feeling good. Hot mic. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching tonight.